Yo! Let's go, chat! Let's go! Guys, we got a big guest today. Big guest today. Wilf Lovett, all the way from the UK. I know a lot of you guys know who he is. If you don't know who I am, if you're new here from Wilf's Instagram, welcome. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Grayson Brock. I'm 22 years old. I'm just a cowboy from Texas, you know what I mean? Something like that. And we're all on the same mission of life. We're all trying to become the best version of ourselves, learning new things. So I'm grateful thank you God for the opportunity to speak with another man who's on the same mission as me to enlighten himself and learn new things, not afraid to learn. Let me show you guys some of his videos if you've never seen them. How we doing, everybody? All right, let me pull this up. Look at this. Check out, this is Wilf's Instagram. He's about to come up in just a few moments. And we're going to fight till the death. Look at this.
The due diligence of ordering a number of religious texts, which I haven't actually read yet, but I've had an interest in for quite some time. Here's my copy of the Quran, the holy text within Islam, with both the English translations and the original Arabic written next to it. This is the Torah, the holy text within Judaism, again with English translations. This is the Holy Vedas, which I believe includes 4 of the main books within Hinduism. I also have the 3 Pure Land Sutras of Buddhism. Also the God Delusion by Richard Dawkins, which apparently includes some of the most compelling arguments for atheism. And as a self-professed Christian who's prayed pretty much every night since I can remember, but doesn't engage in some of the more traditional practices of the faith, such as going to church, after becoming exposed to different faiths more so as I've got older, it's left me wanting to hear more about each religion. And as someone who's currently studying law and has a great interest in the differing political landscapes around the world, I feel like having an in-depth or even just basic understanding of major religions around the world can be highly beneficial. And as a result, I've decided that I'm going to be reading each text in full and also to document my progress on this TikTok.
Can you guys hear me when I talk over the video?
Chapter by chapter, surah by surah, or book by book,
it's just like me
on the text. And the reason why I've decided to do this is because I think this could act as a very useful insight into a first-time reader's experience with reading any of the holy texts. And as a result, feel free to stick around and we'll see how we get on. So a few days ago.
So that was the first video. Someone sent me this. I think my friend Tommy DM'd this to me like 6 months ago, just out of nowhere, because I essentially was doing the same thing, right? You guys have seen my videos where I read a lot of the books in one sitting. So he's in the middle of this journey right now. And we'll watch another one of his videos and then go follow him on Instagram. He posts all the time. Like, look, this is him. This is him. I remember I saw this one too. This one came up. He's been going and visiting mosque and making sick videos. Look at this one. Oh wait, I want to see a video of him. Oh yeah, this one.
So last weekend, before the riots started across the UK, I had the esteemed privilege of having a tour around one of Europe's largest mosque complexes, the East London Mosque in Whitechapel, East London. The mosque notably being one of the first in the UK to be allowed to use loudspeakers to broadcast the Adhan, the Islamic call to prayer, and with the area of Whitechapel in East London being notable as having one of the largest Bengali communities across the UK. Friday sermons at the mosque are delivered in Arabic, English and Bengali, with the mosque also accommodating for more than 7,000 worshippers for general congregational prayer, with many prayer rooms within the masjid being opened especially when the mosque hits capacity, for example during Ramadan or Friday's congregational Jummah prayer. And it's fair to say that following my tour I had a fantastic time in both the East London Mosque and Whitechapel, and will certainly be returning in the near future. So last weekend, before the riots
started, I mean, look at the fist going dummy. So yeah, this is all kind of content you guys should go check out and follow his journey. And he's currently reading all the religious texts, very similar to me. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, can we get some W's in the chat? Welcome him to the stage. All the way from the UK, my favorite country, my favorite accent. Wilf Lovett. Let's go.
Doing, mate?
Let's go, mate. Let's go, champ.
Let me know how this sounds, by the way, because I barely ever.
Say it again. Say it again.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you all right. Chat, can you hear him? Can you hear him well?
Right, wonderful. I've never received that type of introduction before. Quite cool stuff.
No, it's bro. So, real quick, wait, can everyone hear him? Can everyone hear him before? We don't want to start dropping too much. All right, a little echo, maybe.
It's a pretty neat service, this is actually.
Say it again?
The live stream, I could hear an echo, by the way. It's kind of...
Oh, you can hear it echo?
Yeah, I don't know if it's...
no, it's definitely on my end. Oh, okay. How's now? How's now?
Yeah, it's good now.
It's good now?
Yeah.
Does it sound crisp?
Yeah. I presume it might have been because you had the laptop mic on or something. Or
yeah. No. It's because I didn't have echo cancellation on because I'm hearing you out loud, so it's going back in, but I had to turn it on. Yeah, good. All right.
Excellent.
Okay, so hey, I'm a 22-year-old tech from Texas. Wilf, I'm grateful that we connected and are able to talk. So.
Yeah.
Who are you to the people who know you and people who don't know you in here?
Yeah, so I think the videos was kind of a good introduction, but it's interesting because we've kind of gone on a similar journey, I guess, with religion. I've pretty much only done Islam so far, just because there's been so much to cover and everything. But I know we've been reading about religion for about the same amount of time, to be honest, about 7-8 months. Well, I mean, I haven't read, obviously I said I was from a Christian background, but in terms of actually reading the Bible, I've never read it cover to cover. Most of the knowledge I have is from...
It's a big book.
Yeah. I think it's about 3 times the size of the Quran, actually, if you break it down into pages and verses and stuff.
I looked up word count, and it was I think it was almost as high as 10. Although pages...
Really?
Yeah, based on word count. I mean, we can see if that's true, but it did take me... It was so many pages.
Yeah, because...
I'm kind of curious.
Do you know what? You're probably correct on that, because I did it by page count. I just counted without thinking about font size. Probably should have thought about that. But, yeah. So we started... Obviously, we're kind of predominantly looking at Islam at the moment. And I'm sure you've answered this before, Grayson, but I can't recall myself watching the content for it. But what was your initial interest in the religions? Or was it just kind of a challenge you had at the start, looking into and reading all the texts in a single sitting? Because I think that was the initial idea.
Yeah. Okay. So to correct me. So I'm going to repeat it back. So you 7 months ago just wanted to start looking into the religions for fun?
Yeah. And also
why not?
Interacting with, it was actually a bit from university and a bit from other things, but interacting with members of different religious groups. And I'd hear certain things. I had a basic knowledge of some of the religions, some of the dietary requirements and basic practices, but especially with Islam, which I've been looking into more so recently, which I've kind of stuck with for 6 or 7 months. I wasn't aware beforehand just how much went into the religion. I was obviously aware of the thing about not eating pork, praying 5 times a day I was aware of, but I wasn't aware that it was obligatory, if you know what I mean. And it's all stuff like this, and then the sunnah of the prophet, the hadiths, the Quran, and the intricacies in all these things, and the impact that it has on, people in general, the way of life, and this type of thing. So obviously, if you're praying 5 times a day and you've got the dietary requirements and going to mosque and this type of thing, it really does. Obviously, from when I've spoken to people at my university and successful people who are Muslims, it's kind of you fit your routine around the 5 daily prayers instead of, you factor them into your routine with work and stuff. So it's just interesting to hear, people's experiences from that type of perspective.
Wow.
To be honest.
So you wanted to simply learn more for the fact of learning, or more out of you wanted to know, or you wanted to find the truth, like your own soul was searching, or both?
It's a bit of both, to be honest, because well, I said in the video, the video seemed a bit monotone now. I've not watched that video in ages, but yeah, so it's a bit of both. So, like I said in the video, I do pray every night, but it's one of those things where I don't really put much thought into it. I just kind of say the Lord's Prayer, like just before I go to sleep. Yeah. That's about it, and like maybe the odd other prayer as well. But besides that, I hadn't really put much thought into it, and it wasn't something until recently, interacting with different communities and you know, looking at some of the, I guess, societal influences on religion and everything, that I kind of gained this deeper interest. And like I say, it does come from a standpoint of both just a genuine interest and also potentially finding the truth, as you would say. Because obviously,
so a little bit of both.
Yeah, 100%. Okay.
Yeah, that I would say. You asked me, or what was your question?
So I asked you originally, I think, how did you get into it, or what sparked the initial interest?
I mean, the real initial interest, like the seed, is simply like who I am. Meaning, just ever since I started understanding the concept when I was in 16, 17 years old, that, okay, wait, so some people could go to heaven, some people could go to hell if they don't believe that Jesus died for your sins, which is what I taught, like if they don't believe in Jesus. And so I started obsessing over that. I mean, to the point where I would be like sitting at night, like talking to my parents, like crying, like, how is no one else actually doing anything? Like, why is everyone not a pastor? Like, I get the pastor, but I don't understand like everyone else, because like, if they really believe that, why is no one else freaking out like me? Like, I'm freaking out. Like, do you not really believe this, or what's going on here? So that was the start of the obsession of like, what is this? Like, I have to figure out, I have to go travel the world and see if other countries even know about Jesus, for example, and like what their life is like. I was just obsessed. So that was really the seed of it. And then, you know, fast forwarding my life, turning 5 years into like 5 seconds, I was a strong Christian. Then I basically thought, okay, maybe God isn't real. And over during like, 2-3 years where I still did activities, went to church with my family. I mean, it's integrated into my life. I live in Texas, like you said. I live in the Bible Belt, so it's still part of everyone's life, even if you don't really, you still are a part of it, and it still feels good, even if you don't believe in it, to go and wake up and dress nice and go to church, and then go eat some good lunch with your grandma. But during that time where I didn't necessarily believe in my heart that this was like, that Jesus, that was God, and like I didn't feel peace. And I would even have conversations with my Christian friends at the time, being like, I'm no longer really believe this. And I admit I felt more peace back then. So I knew there was something that I had found during my stint of obsessing over Christianity. So I obsessed over Christianity, then I was nothing. And then now, fast forward to like a year ago, I dropped out of college and I started backpacking in Asia. I did, if you guys have seen videos on a video on my channel, like went backpacking with my friend. I did a Muay Thai fight. And during that time, I realized, dang, I really want to learn what other religions say. And my religious professor in college had told me about the Quran specifically. He'd been like, the Quran's pretty short. You guys should read it. And so one night, I had been smoking marijuana. I was pretty high that night. And I was like, what? And I was like, you know what? I should read the whole Quran in one sitting. I want to read it, and I can make a video about it. So that gave me like an outrageous idea. And then a few weeks later, I actually did it. And then from then, I read the Book of Mormon. I read the Bhagavad Gita, which is a Hinduism book. Really interesting book. It's like the Bhagavad Gita is interesting because he's like questioning God. You get to like question God in that book. I don't know if you have you heard of that book.
I actually have it.
You have it?
Yeah. The interesting thing is that initial video I made, Obviously, I had some of the main texts, but a lot of Hindus actually messaged me afterwards, and they said that the Bhagavad Gita is like a more appropriate text to start with, because I have both. I have the Holy Vedas and the
I
Bhagavad.
want to read the Vedas. Have you read any of the Vedas yet?
No, I've not got around to it, but
like you haven't opened it or sometimes at all?
I haven't opened it.
Okay,
like
yeah.
I say, as far I've kind of been exclusively on or learned about
No,
Islam.
that's not. Yeah, no, that's. Hey, you know what they say? There's a saying in like the Navy SEALs, the U.S. highest like form of the military. They say slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So
Yeah,
if you want to really
I like it.
soak in something, it's okay to go slow. Yeah, I read the book, Quran, Book of Mormon, Bhagavad Gita. Then I read the Bible, and I also lived at a Buddhist temple for a week. Shaved my head, became a monk. You could say for a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went on this journey to like research every religion, and then I would say at the end of it, I haven't necessarily gone anywhere where I haven't learned anything about Hinduism other than just reading the book. The Book of Mormon was interesting, but it's also about Jesus. Like it's kind of similar to Christianity in the sense of like the main core of it. So then I was left with like Christianity. According to my current research, what I have done is those 5 religions. I haven't looked into like Judaism or what else is there? I don't know. I guess atheism, but I mean, it's not really a religion. But yeah. Like you said, you got that Richard Dawkins book. I want to read that. The God Delusion.
Yeah, I got another one as well. It's called God is Not Great by Christopher Hitchens. So the difference is the God Delusion. Richard Dawkins, he takes it, he like comes at the atheism argument from an academic perspective. So he's just purely talking about the arguments against the existence of God. Whereas Christopher Hitchens, he's a bit more of an abrasive speaker. If you watch any of his speeches with like religious people, Muslims or Christians predominantly, he's dead now, but when he was alive, like his works he's known as one of the primary new atheist thinkers.
What's his name?
Christopher Hitchens.
Okay, I think I've seen a part of him like debating a Muslim or something.
Yeah, and his book, God is Not Great, it's more of a criticism of religion. Not only does he not believe, but it's like he says that all religion's harmful in this sort of thing. It's that type of argument. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's a bit of a controversial one.
I would love to read in that video that you made. I was so, for anyone who's just joining, like what I'm referring to is, let's see, this video. Like when I
did the due diligence of ordering a number of religious texts, which I haven't actually read yet, but I've had an interest in for quite some time. Is my copy of the Quran, the holy text within Islam.
Can you hear me when I talk over this, Will?
And the original Arabic.
Yeah.
Next to it.
Okay.
This is the Torah, the holy text within Judaism, again with English translations. This is the
I want to finish this. This was kind of like my idea. I basically did the same thing you did. Like I wanted to read all of it, and then you kind of get like caught up in one.
Also, the God Delusion by Richard Dawkins, which apparently includes some of the most compelling.
That book, I want to read that Richard Dawkins book, and I also want to read. Well, I guess the Torah is just the beginning: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers. Wait, the Torah is just right. Genesis, Exodus, the first 5.
Yeah, I didn't know this until I spoke to some Jewish people from the UK, who said that I think the full text is called the Tanakh, if I'm remembering correctly, and that includes the Torah and 2 other books, and it's basically the whole of the Old Testament. And then obviously there's the Talmud, but that's more like rulings on Jewish law and that type of thing. And it was kind of composed by a number of rabbis over the course of many years. But I don't actually have the Talmud itself. I got like a
Talmud. So that's a Jewish book.
Yeah. It's like kind of a condensed version of like some of the main tenets of the Talmud. So yeah, should be an interesting one to look into potentially.
Okay.
Alongside the just Tanakh and Torah.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess I have read not I guess. Is it so the Torah is the same translation as like the beginning of the Bible? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy? Or are there any difference?
Yeah, I believe it's pretty much the same. I don't think there is any differences. There might be the odd translational difference, but from when I spoke to some, like say, some Jewish people from the UK who are more knowledgeable, they said that the version of the Bible that I have, it's just like a Protestant King James Bible. This is like the 2023 version for the King's coronation. I look at that, eh? But yeah, so they said that type of Old Testament version's pretty much fine if you're looking into Judaism.
Okay, so then I guess then I've read 6. I've read the Bible, I've read the Book of Mormon, I've read the Quran, I've read the Bhagavad Gita, I've read the Torah. 6 being I stayed at a Buddhist temple. Because the Buddhism one, I didn't know, like the book, the Hinduism and Buddhism were the 2 religions where I was struggling to figure out what is the book. Like I literally was like I was like finding different answers, like what is the book? Because I know I'm applying the logic of Christianity, like there's probably just one book, right? And then it would be a little bit.
Yeah, so
it's kind of like the Sunnah too in Islam. Like I didn't know that was a part of it.
I was the exact same, but luckily at my university, it's got quite a very diverse cohort in terms of religions and I guess people who practice different faiths. And actually one of my housemates last year was Hindu, but he was very knowledgeable in it. And from what he told me, the thing about the texts I was curious about, but to kind of simplify it for me, there's quite a few philosophies within Hinduism. So not every like Hindu follows the exact same set of rules or practices as you'd see in Islam, or broadly in Islam, like the main tenets of Islam, so like the 5 prayers a day, the dietary requirements, and all this sort of stuff. It's a bit more flexible in Hinduism, and I think there's a few different philosophies that people follow. So it's an interesting one. I think when I dive into it, I'll probably end up approaching it from the sense of speaking to people beforehand, just so I'm more aware of what's going on, and I guess their perspective. So yeah.
Well, I'm looking. This is like another reminder to myself to continue to look into the other religions, especially the Buddhism. I want to write that down. What was the?
Yes, so the Buddhism text I have, it's a bit far away to reach, but I spoke to some people about that, and they said that, like with Hinduism, there's a few different ways of practicing Buddhism, and that's only one like particular, I guess, sect or philosophy within Buddhism. The text that I have, the 3 Pure Land Sutras.
What's that called?
The 3 Pure Land Sutras.
3 Pure Land Sutras.
The 3 Pure Land Sutras.
Okay.
And
that British accent. I love a British accent. I literally want to like go to live in England and like adopt a British accent a little bit.
Would you come to Sheffield?
What's up?
That's where I'm at. Would you come to Sheffield? That's where I'm at the moment.
Sheffield.
The north of England. It's a bit different to London.
Yeah, I can actually. I feel proud because I'm starting to. I can hear a little bit different. I can actually kind of hear it a little bit different when I'm hearing your accent. So this is like
because the London accent, which you might have heard, is called the Cockney accent. And then there's a few other famous ones: the Scouse accent for Liverpool, the Geordie accent for Newcastle, and there's a few others. Like those are just some of the main ones. And then, of course, there's different accents all across the UK. And I have kind of like a weird blend in my accent because I live right next to Sheffield, but then I go to Lancaster for university. So it's kind of like a blend. So sometimes people find it difficult to pick up where exactly I'm originally from.
Okay, I'm gonna be taking notes today on things that I'm learning from you. So, what was the book? One more time. I didn't have a pen and paper. 3 Land Sutras.
The 3 Pure Land Sutras. And it's actually quite short. I've not read it yet, but compared to some of the other texts I've got, I think it's definitely the shortest out of the bunch. So when I get to it, hopefully, in terms of whether I'll get to understand it fully initially, might be a question I'll have to get into contact with some knowledgeable people potentially, but should hopefully not take too long to get through, and hopefully it's fairly easy to digest. So yeah.
Three Pure Land Sutra. I love to read that. Also the Vedas. Go to like a Hindu temple. I did stay when I stayed at the Buddhist temple. Like I was questioning like the monk there had been there for 40 years. I was like, they had like a little bookshelf of a library, and I'd be like, what book can I read to understand more? And it would basically, he was like, oh, you can read like any of them. I was like, they were just kind of like books about Buddhism.
Really?
And that's when I started. He said something like that, and I was confused again because I'm applying my Christian upbringing to think like, where's the book? Where's the book that you have? Because this is a religion, right?
Another one you might be interested in, now that we're on this topic. There's one more. So have you heard of Sikhism? The Sikh community?
Yes.
So there's a decent-sized Sikh community in the UK, and I actually have the text, which again I've not read yet, but I think it's called the Adi Grant or the Guru Granth Sahib. And the interesting thing about the Sikh community, again, not a lot of people know about. I guess across the world, to be honest. Obviously, since there's a community in the UK, I kind of know some of the basics of the religion, like some of the dress. The men, for example, wear they cover their hair with something called a turban, which you may or may not have seen before. But beyond that, again, it's something I need to look into, in more depth.
Yep.
So
this was when I was at the Buddhist temple. That's me. The monk on the left of me had been there for 40 years at this temple.
No way.
40.
What country? Is this in Thailand or Laos?
This is on an island off of Thailand. And
it's unbelievable.
Oh my gosh, like there's me right here. I look like a different person. And this is where we'd come in the morning to meditate. And like they housed like a little bit of a school there at the time being, because these were not like refugees, but kids who didn't have a school from Myanmar, country Myanmar, right by Thailand. And they were so respectful. Like the one thing about going to Southeast Asia, I'd never been to the Asian continent. And I had that idea that it would be so, like, I've heard that they're so respectful, because even my dad works with, when he goes and when he works in this company with like Japanese people or Asian, any other type of Asian people, he tells me stories of when they're out, like cheering each other, how like the Japanese, anyone who's like, he's higher them in the company. I mean, they make it clear, like, oh, like my dad, like, oh yes, cheers. Like, and they never cheer him. They always go halfway, stuff like that. And then when I actually got to Asia, I was like, oh my gosh, it's true. Like, look at the kids here. They would be so respectful. There would be a school, they'd be playing. And if any of the monks, or we were like students, that's why we have like different fits. If we would like walk by, they would be playing, playing ball. And then they would go like, they'd be like, ah, like children, like they're like tiny. I'm not talking about like a 10-year-old. I'm talking about like a 6-year-old. In the US, I thought all 6-year-olds like have no control over themselves. And there, I was just shocked at how respectful they were. Not only there, but even at like 7-Eleven, just like a normal gas station. Like here in the US, any chain restaurant, 60-70% of the time, the worker there is like, they look literally like they want to kill themselves. Like they look so depressed. And like they would most of the time be like, oh, like they would actually say thank you to you and like mean it. But yeah, Asia was so cool. And I loved learning about Buddhism. It really it seemed like a way of life. Like people say sometimes like, oh, it's a way of life.
That's right.
Those kind of get confused, like way of life and religion. But it did seem to me more like, oh, it is like a way of life. It's like trying to just get rid of your problems, essentially. Clear your mind.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense as well. I mean, those two, I guess you could say, in a sense, the way of life and the religion kind of interlink. And as I was saying earlier, actually, that kind of links well. I found that looking more deeply into Islam, practicing the religion, I guess maybe not strictly, because this is something else. Obviously, the 5 prayers a day and all the other stuff like we mentioned. Since it's obligatory, when people often say, he's very religious, I hear some Muslims say, this is actually what's expected. But in the same way, like you said, when you found at the temple, it was a way of life for the people. I found that when I've spoken to or interacted with, a lot of the Muslim community, especially in my area and even elsewhere all across the world, I found that way of life kind of outlook of the religion kind of echoes through their actions as well. So, yeah, it's been fascinating.
Religions are just fascinating in general. I mean,
yeah, 100%.
I mean, how could it not be? I don't understand how people aren't interested in like at all. Definitely. Like how? I don't get it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious as well. So, obviously, so we started looking into religion around the same time, and then when Ramadan came,
I guess I would say other religions. I had been insanely interested in Christianity, but just completely studying like the New Testament of the Bible and other parts of the Bible, going to church all the time. But other religions, same time, like 6-7 months ago. But continue.
So when Ramadan came around, so I was going to say we started looking into religion about the same time. Would you ever consider trying out fasting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have not done Ramadan, but I do. I think like a year ago is like the first time I ever fasted, and now in a sense, if I do the day how I want to do it, I don't eat until dinner. I just drink coffee and a bunch of water because I feel so much better. It's like self-control to not eat. I don't feel like tired.
The thing is,
just like I guess I mean it is fasting. Like you don't eat lunch, but I would love to do Ramadan, and fasting is crazy. I fasted for 3 days once. I tried to fast for 5 days one time, then I gave up on like the 3rd day. But that was a weird experience, like for the first time fasting for like days on end. But fasting it's a great way to realize that you can control. When you realize the power of yourself and realize you can control your own hand, because you think that you can, like, oh, I'm hungry, because you like associate that with I have to eat. And then the day when you're like, oh no, and you think, dang, I can go a long time without eating.
Yeah, because what I was going to say was, is obviously you just talked about fasting in general, but the interesting thing is when Ramadan came around, I ended up doing about half of the month trying it out. And the thing that a lot of people forget who are Muslim or are just looking into the religion for the first time is that it's no food and water for the whole daylight period.
Yeah,
and
I didn't know that. I remember real quick. I got invited to go to an event where we were fasting that day for at like a mosque that night, and I was like, yeah, I'll fast. And I didn't know I was like drinking water the whole day. And I got there, I was like, yeah, it's been hard, like only drinking water. And they were like, oh, you're not supposed to drink water. I was like, oh wait, what? But yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I was going to say, so when you went to the mosque on that day, did you? Because when last Ramadan came around, I think that was the first time I visited a mosque, and it's a bit during Ramadan. It's a bit different because did you break the fast with the congregation? Because I found that when I went to the mosque, they'll just give you like some dates, and usually like these. I think they're either Palestinian or dates from Mecca or Medina. And then usually after that, I can't remember if there's a prayer that's done. It depends on the time of day. But so you break the fast with something light and then have the larger meal a bit later on. Because especially if you're doing it for the first time, like sometimes your digestive system doesn't know how to react.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah, I did break it with the everyone at the mosque. It
Yeah,
was cool.
excellent stuff. Excellent
Yeah.
stuff.
So
Wow.
your upbringing, I wanted to ask you, Wilf. Okay. I wanted to ask what. So you grew up being taught Christianity, going to church.
I wouldn't say so. So this is something that's interesting because obviously you said you're from Texas and the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
I think the UK, or pretty much from my experience anyway, I can't speak for the whole of the UK, but it's more of a cultural Christianity for the most part. There is, of
Okay.
course, people who do practice, but the amount of people like my peers, for example, who attend church, I can only think of really a handful of like hundreds of people my age I know. It's kind of more of a cultural thing, and most of the majority of my knowledge from Christianity comes from primary school assemblies and just lessons, because
Okay.
because obviously people say that the UK is a Christian country, so the foundational lessons of many of the stories of the Bible are usually still taught at school, but like I said, beyond that, the majority of my knowledge of Christianity kind of comes from back when I was quite young,
Yeah.
and past that, like especially when I got to secondary school, we called it, so around from age 11 or 12 to age 16 or 18, depending on whether you want to go to university or do an apprenticeship. So in secondary school, I just went to a normal state secondary school. There wasn't a religious aspect to the education, besides like an hour a week of religious studies every now and then, like for the first few years. So at secondary school, I was kind of exposed to pretty much or almost really nothing to related to Christianity, and it was just kind of a personal thing for me. And,
Okay. So it's not
yeah,
as common. I'm getting the same thing from talking to people in the UK, the same vibe. I mean, you could tell me if it's true based on your upbringing. So it's like everyone is Christian by, blood, in a sense. However, church is not like a common, like church here in the South it's like you go with your family on Sunday.
yeah. So it's that I'd say that's mostly true, but
Okay.
even still, of course, a lot of people
Wait,
still
it's
do
mostly true that
identify.
that doesn't happen in the UK?
It's mostly true that doesn't happen now, in
Okay.
terms of going to church. But even in terms of how people identify, a lot of people still do identify as Christian, due to cultural reasons. But a lot of my friends and stuff just say they're either agnostic or atheist from school, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think in the UK, it's like I say, this is where it's quite interesting because it's probably quite different in the Bible Belt. But
So does it
I
feel,
say
is it true that it's like churches are empty in the UK, like it's dead? Christianity is dying.
I wouldn't. I don't want to make broad claims, but there is a lot of. You might find this interesting. There's even some churches that have like either been converted into housing or mosques, even in some areas. Like I've visited some churches in Blackburn and Sunderland over the past few months, and they've ended up getting converted into mosques. Of course, I'm sure there is areas where the community still does practice Christianity, but in certain areas, since there's no one to upkeep the church and that type of thing, they're kind of either being converted or sold off in some other way. So yeah, it's I guess it's quite a bit of a cultural divide
Interesting.
compared to the Bible Belt.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's not like everyone, not everyone goes to church, like families, but probably about half. But even like people who go to church, it's for a good amount of people, it's just a thing. You kind of do it so that you're good. Like you're good
Yeah,
now. But so you grew up. What was it like from like a young age? Like were you taught Jesus is God, or what?
So this is something else. So like I was telling you, you get taught the foundations, but from my experience, this was the case with me. Is it was never really enforced on me. Like it wasn't someone didn't come to me like a teacher or a peer or something and say, okay, this is how you've got to believe Jesus is God, and if you don't believe it, such and such. I never really found that. I found, people were, it was kind of like if you want to believe, then fair play, but if not, then it is what it is. Like that's how nonchalant the attitude was, to be honest. If I'm being 100% with you, so it's. I'm sure that wasn't the case with everyone, because I've spoken to some people from different parts of the UK who maybe went to like a Catholic school or a Church of England secondary school, who may have had a different experience. But for the most part, I find that in terms of religion and religious beliefs, there's never really like an enforcement factor from like a teacher or a parent or something.
So no one has anyone ever worried about your salvation, you could say?
Not really. Like close people I know.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of that's different here for sure. I mean, depending on what family you grew up in, there's a lot of factors, but it's definitely like, you're either going to the not so good play, like Santa Claus. You're either getting coal or you're going to get gifts. So, so that's another topic. What's interesting is Santa is just. Were you taught about Santa? Is that a big thing?
Santa, partially. Not.
Oh, really?
It's just like one of those things.
Santa Claus is Christmas here, and like that is in the UK. Like it is. That is what Christmas is. Is like Santa's coming. And it just sounds exactly like God. Like we would sing a song that, he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows if you've been naughty or nice. And you either get coal or you get a bunch of gifts. It's like, that's exactly like religion.
Yeah.
That's another topic. Interesting. So you grew up, what did you see growing up where like, oh, I like this. Oh, I don't. Or I guess, okay, let me start over. So looking back right now on what you've now learned as you get older and become more, we both become more aware of like what's going on in the rest of the world. Somewhat, obviously we have a lot more to learn, but we've learned a lot more than what we knew at like 15, let's say. So as you grow up, what pros do you see of growing up in a Christian country, Christian family being taught? And what cons do you see growing up in a Christian family rather than, compared to other religions or something?
To be honest with you, it's difficult to approach this without having like a personal, like good or bad experience. I mean, my experience has been pretty all right. I mean, it's pretty neutral on the religion department. I guess there's positives and negatives.
So it wasn't that serious. That's what I'm getting.
No, not too serious. And I think when you're talking about that topic, I think it's just how parents or teachers or peers approach it.
It is. Okay, interesting. So it was just pretty. Your upbringing in the Christian faith in your life was pretty chill, you could say. Moderate.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then you started to begin to read the Quran. How far are you in the Quran? You're like really studying it.
Yeah, so I'm about halfway through. I've just got to Surah 17. And it's just before it's one of the most famous stories in Islam, actually. It's the night journey of the Prophet, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I'm not sure if you're aware of the story.
Which one? Which one he had to migrate?
No. So the night journey is where the Prophet. I haven't made a video on it yet, but it's where the 5 prayers a day comes from. And essentially, from what I can remember, so there's 2 stages to the journey. So, and it's often argued, was it an actual event or was it a vision? Most people think it was an actual event, but it depends on what scholar you look at. And from what I remember, so the Prophet he mounts, I think, a horse, like a winged horse that has a name that I can't remember. If people in the comments will probably be able to tell you. from Mecca to Jerusalem originally, and he lands at Al-Aqsa Mosque. So in Jerusalem, there's the mosque with the gold dome that's very famous in Jerusalem. So he stops off there, and then I think he ascends to the heavens after that, and goes through the several levels of heaven and interacts with many of the prophets. And the interesting part about this stage is he talks to Moses, I believe, because I think this is the one time where he directly talks to Allah or God, because I think for pretty much, again, people can correct me, but I'm pretty sure that all the other revelations, the intermediary was the angel Jibreel or Gabriel, the Arabic version of the name. But in this instance, the prophet,
Surah 17.
Yeah, he actually talks to Allah, and Allah originally tells him to tell humanity to pray for 50 times a day. And then when he's descending back, he talks to Moses, who tells him to go back and kind of negotiate for less prayers. And they do that until they negotiate for 5 prayers a day, I think. And then even after that, the prophet still thought, is this too much? But I think Moses said that. But the prophet decided, we've negotiated for, I can't remember if it was a little bit too long, or he just decided to head on back down. But it was that's my current understanding of the story. But it'd be interesting to do a more in-depth analysis. It's certainly one of the most important stories in Islam, and I can't wait to read about it, because as well in Islam, obviously you get most of the knowledge from the Quran. And the thing is with the Quran, there's this is why some people might find it hard to read for the first time, because in the majority of the Quran, in most surahs, you get some information on the stories of the prophets.
Yeah.
So not just Muhammad, but like Joseph, Jesus, of course, and Adam.
Yep.
And all these types of people. And then you get some rulings on Islamic law, also known as Sharia. And then there's some other historical pieces of information about the life of the prophet, and sometimes the migration from Mecca to Medina, the Hijrah.
Dang, you know a lot. You know a lot.
Yeah, there's all this sort of stuff. Yeah, there's all and it's kind of like I tell you, in the Quran, in pretty much every surah, you get bits of all these types of topics. They're all pretty much all throughout most surahs, and especially the longer surahs. The only surah where that's not the case is Surah 14, I believe, which I just read recently. Surah Yusuf, which translates to Joseph, which is the story of Joseph in the Bible. I'm pretty sure it's pretty much the same. And I think there's some people argue, there's a symbolic reason for that. I can't 100% remember all the intricacies, but yeah, if going through carefully and reading the Quran for the first time is very fascinating. And there's also, I don't know if you've heard of the scientific miracles of the Quran.
I haven't looked into it myself. No.
So there's a few different types. So one of them, there's all these miracles, I believe people call them, in relation to how the text is written. So, for example, I can't remember any examples on the top of my head, but let's say the ratio of land and sea, or the ratio of land and water on earth. In the Quran, those terms said the exact amount of times, which is the exact ratio of land and water on earth, I believe. 71%. You can look it up. It's quite fascinating, and there's all these sorts of things.
Do you believe that is a miracle?
Well, this the thing is, I get it seems as so, but looking into these things for the first time, it's interesting to see stuff like that, because people often say, how could if he isn't a prophet of God, Muhammad, peace be upon him, how did he know, or how did this come about? Surely it couldn't have been a coincidence. So yeah, it's all these sorts of things. I'll have to do some videos on these topics shortly, to be honest, because stuff I've started looking into. And I actually have a book that I got gifted by someone, The Miracles of the Quran. Some of it includes, like I say, the literary miracles. Some of it includes, have you heard of the predictions of the prophet, like predictions for the future?
I've heard a few. The only one I really know off the top of my head is that, like, people of the desert will compete in tall buildings.
Yeah. So
that one's interesting.
Yeah, and then there's one about like Romans and Persians and predicting like who's going to win in what time period and stuff like this. I think that's also included in the miracles category.
Hey, chat, what are you guys thinking of the conversation so far? What do you guys want to know more about me and Will's journey? Everyone is. Can you see chat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
It's quite a neat system.
I know, right?
But yeah.
What things you guys want to know more about? There's more things. I'm gonna take like a 2-minute break real quick and hop right back. Do you want to stay on and talk, or you want me to like put up a video of you while we wait?
Yeah, I can talk. I can.
All right. Yeah. Go for it. I'm gonna just take my way like that. I'm gonna take myself off, so it'll be just be you. And if you change your mind, feel free to leave the camera and just mute it for a sec or whatever.
Because people were. It's interesting seeing how this chat works, because the only time I've live streamed in the past has been on TikTok. So like seeing all these more advanced systems on laptops and with different equipment, it's all new to me, to be honest.
Yeah, people are saying they love you.
Wonderful. I love to hear it. I'll see you in a minute, mate.
I'll be right back. This is going good.
How are we doing, guys? Okay. You want to hear? You want more collabs like this? Excellent stuff. I've not actually read Surah Maryam yet. I'm coming up to it soon. Isn't it like Surah 18 or 19? Because that's the one a lot of people keep telling me to read. Because I think isn't it the story of Mary? So in the Bible, Maryam's like the Arabic version of the name. It's interesting. A lot of the prophets' names have an Arabic like version, which you hear in the Quran. Some don't. I mean, Adam is the same in Arabic and English, but most do anyway. Yeah, everyone's been recommending Surah Maryam. So obviously, since it's to do with the Mother Mary, like from Christianity, I presume the reason a lot of people keep wanting me to react to this is because being from a Christian background, having some of the knowledge of some of the basics of Christian teaching, seeing the similarities perhaps, or some of the differences even that are relayed. The greatest woman ever. Yeah, I heard that actually yesterday. I was watching a video or a podcast or something of the sort, and it's interesting because I heard that and I wasn't aware that that's what's said in the Quran beforehand, because obviously when you think of the most influential women in Islam, of course we think about Mary, but I would have expected, let's say, maybe not expected, but of course you hear a lot about for women in Islam following the example of many of the Prophet's wives and that type of thing. Khadija is one that's often referenced, and then there's many others. Of course, that'll be another interesting topic to cover, the children and the family of the Prophet. From what I can remember, and again, it's good that there's some knowledgeable people in the chat, but so I think so. His daughter Fatima. This was the interesting part. So the Prophet had a number of children, and then Fatima married Ali. I'm only just learning this stuff, and Ali was the fourth caliph in the line of succession of the Prophet. So after the death of the Prophet, you had Abu Bakr, then Umar, and then it was Uthman, then Ali, and then I can't remember if that was the end of the Umayyad Caliphate or if it continued under another name. But yeah, even this is why I find it so interesting, because it's not just the theological side of these things, like I say, but it's the history of the following events and so on and so forth. Yeah, 100%. I don't push-ups after toilet break, perhaps. Yeah, guys. So people are asking for what my channel is. So I mainly post on Instagram and TikTok, and I really need to get onto YouTube, like make some long-form content. It's a little bit more difficult to navigate, but if I can get on there and hopefully make some more in-depth videos, because people have been asking for I believe some commentary videos, like longer commentary videos. So I'll have to ponder it shortly in the future. Some nice arm work here, shoulders. Crazy stuff, eh? At-home workout. The gym near me is closed for the next couple of weeks because they're refurbishing it. So this will be the sort of stuff I'm doing. How are we doing? Hello?
Can you hear me?
I don't know if you need to put headphones on.
Oh, no, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, so
yeah. I can. It's sick. Like this, I've been able to hear you out loud. I thought you could hear me, but I'm out of breath. On this platform, StreamYard, you can do like echo cancellation. So I can turn it off, and you talk now. Say something.
Hello, how are we doing? And now I can hear the echo.
Boom. And then you turn it off, and then you can hear it out loud, so you don't have to, if you don't want to wear headphones. But people were asking you about your channel. There's probably like 200 people who weren't here at the beginning, so
wonderful stuff. Well, it's interesting. So yesterday I made a video on I've started listening to some Quran recitations, like full ones, because this was something that was recommended a long time ago. People said, you should really listen to some Quran recitations from a Qari reciter, because there's like an actual, I guess, theory behind reciting, like there's kind of a correct way of doing it. So I started listening to this Kuwaiti reciter, who I've forgot the name of now, but he's a very well-known guy. He kind of does the recitations clearly and slowly, so it's quite easy to digest if you're not a native Arabic speaker. And I've started listening to some of them, and especially that's it, Tajweed, someone said, but I've started listening to some of the surahs, especially the shorter ones. And as I said in the video, even just listening to the Arabic back, not only do you start to pick up some of the Arabic pronunciations, but also the cadences of speech. And when I was talking about a minute ago about ways of reciting and there being like a kind of accepted or encouraged way of doing so, even the cadences of speech that they use, I found that when I first tried reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, which is the first surah in the Quran that people recite several times a day, I believe, I remember that the cadence of speech I was using at the time, or like the way I was stringing the sentence together, wasn't entirely correct. And when I listened to the reciter, like for a few minutes, you pick it up, and it's amazing how these acquiring knowledge in such a way can be beneficial for the future. Because I explain in the video, I know there's the regulations surrounding music in Islam, of course, but the equivalence I gave is when you're listening to music, sometimes if you listen to like a song or album for long enough, you start to pick up some of the lyrics or some of the rhythms, perhaps. It's the same when listening to the Quran, and especially Something else I've been listening to is nasheeds, which are like, I don't know if you've heard of them, Grayson.
I've heard that. I don't know what that means though.
So there's a thing in Islam. Again, I don't want to get this wrong, but from what I can remember, there's a consensus among a number of scholars that there's an argument. Most people think music is haram, so non-permissible, because there's a hadith from the Prophet, I believe, and he compares the use of musical instruments to a few other things that are widely known to be impermissible in the religion. So as a result, the majority of people say that, you know, the use of musical instruments besides the voice and a particular drum is impermissible. Some scholars, there's only a few, but some say it's makruh, so that's discouraged, I believe. But to get around this, there's something called the nasheed, which can be an Arabic poem. It's like sung or I guess recited in a particular way, but also I'll send you like a playlist. Since there's the thing, you can still use voices and like a particular drum. There's some artists who've done it so they don't use musical instruments, but they add like layers of voices like throughout a track to get like give the I guess this again. This was something else which was discussed whether it was permissible or not. I've seen a number of like opinions, but they kind of put like a backing track of a number of voices to kind of imitate, to kind of substitute instead of using instruments. And I've started listening to them a decent amount. I started listening to them during Ramadan.
Wait, what does it sound like? I want to hear it right now. I'm gonna look it up.
So I'll send you. I tell you what. So the one you will have heard. It's on the backing track of literally every like Muslim YouTuber or Muslim TikToker or Instagrammer. It's one called "Where You Are."
Yes.
If you want to listen to an actual like Arabic one, I'd recommend a guy called Mohammed Al Mukit. So type in, I think of a good one. So type in "The Way of Tears." Yeah, there you go. The Wedding Nasheed's a famous one. So just click on that. You hear this in a lot of I don't know if the sound's coming through well.
No, it sounds beautiful.
Yeah, so if you listen
so it's just a person making this is their voice.
No musical instruments. There's like backing voices. And this guy is a very good, he's probably my favorite nasheed artist. I think he does Quran recitations as well, but he does many of this type, and I start listening to him quite regularly. So yeah, on my Spotify homepage, you see a mixture of like nasheeds and random like other music I listen to. So it's quite an interesting one.
Wow, you know a lot.
No, I just have a heightened interest.
Yeah, no, I mean that it's sick. If anyone was just joining, like, I don't know, can you see the chats I put on the screen?
Yeah, I can see them.
Yeah.
It's a good system. This is.
Yeah, if you had to summarize anyone who's just joining what we've talked about so far.
So we were just so far we've talked about so much. So obviously, what interested
you missed a lot.
Okay. And essentially, what interested us initially in learning about Islam and religion in general. Me and Grayson have been doing similar studies, been on a similar journey. We talked about, I guess, the influence of religion in the UK and the US and some of the differences from the Bible Belt to the north of England, like Christian upbringing, some of the differences. Then we just talked about some of the key pieces of theology in Islam, aspects of the Quran and the Sunnah, things relayed in the Hadiths, and certain stories in relation to that. And then we've just been talking about nasheeds, Quran recitations, and Arabic poems, actually. I was just talking about how since Ramadan I've been listening to quite a lot more nasheeds. because obviously we've just been talking about this. There's kind of the regulation around music in Islam. So the way people get around this sometimes is by only like using voice samplings and the nasheeds themselves as well. The majority of the time, to do with the religion and the praise of Allah or something else related to Islam. If you watch or if you listen to Muhammad al-Muqit, pretty much all of his nasheeds, while I can't understand a lot of the stuff that's being said because it's in Arabic, of course, listening to the flows of the language and also, listening to some of the different themes to do with Islam, it can be very beneficial. It kind of puts it in the subconscious. Do you know what I mean? So I'll send you some playlists after this. You can start listening to them.
Yes, I love music. And I also noticed that when I listen to music, I'm not thinking. I'm being told what thoughts to have. So when you like listen to something like this,
there's
you can keep thinking. Like I could be thinking about what's going on in my life and driving and like
100%. And because I'm the same, I do enjoy music and I have a background in music. Like I played the trumpet, the piano and the guitar from a young age. Whoa. Quite a high level as well. Like I play in my university brass band. And I do enjoy like classic. I've kind of, since I've started factoring in more nasheeds, I've not listened to much of it lately, but like classic rock music from like the 70s and 80s, British and American bands. But again, like I say, not listened to as much recently. It's sometimes just when I work out and that type of thing. So, but yeah, I do 100% know what you mean by what you say when you're listening to it, especially some of the music today. I don't want to tar the whole industry, but I guess some of the themes you sometimes hear in.
I cut out a bit, chat.
Odin.
Oh, it delayed for a bit. We're back though.
No worries, no problem. But so as I was saying, So I think I was just talking about like I can understand the regulations surrounding music, especially when you hear some of the themes in like some rap and hip hop in today's music, even in some pop music as well. It's sometimes can be obscene, not always, but like of course, if you're trying to stay on a religious path on the deen, as it's called in Islam, I can understand how perhaps listening to a Nicki Minaj Anaconda playlist might not be the best way of going about it. Yeah.
Music definitely, I had never even thought that music in general is like mind control in a sense until I started hearing people say music is haram. I was like, music is haram. At first that sounded outrageous to me. And then I started to think, well, if you're really about this pure life, like completely, I mean, I could see how if you got rid of music, I mean, that's a lot of time I spend listening to music. And I'm thinking like, how many more hours of thought would I have had I not be listening to music? I mean, the same way, think like if you never drink alcohol again for the rest of your life, how much more time do you save? If you never listen to music again for the rest of your life, how much time do you save or thought that you can be like actually at peace? I mean, I realized that when I was like living at the Buddhist temple too, because I stopped listening to I normally would walk around with like a song playing in my pocket. Like I normally it's very common for me to just like whip out Spotify, as I'm doing something, just, turn on a song, boom, and just, put it in my pocket and just walk around with.
What's this?
This is a haram song. So, what?
Not my type of dig.
Not my type of dig. So I think you summarized that good. We've discussed why we're interested in religion, growing up in the UK versus the USA, and why we started I guess researching. Why have you stuck to researching Islam when you set out to research every religion in a sense, and just because it's been interested you? People like hearing about it too. What's the reason?
I've just got so into it, to be honest, because like I mentioned, since my scope of interest, like I study law at the moment at university, just about to go into my final year. Like I have a good interest in politics, different cultures, geography, history. And when you're looking into Islam, all of these things come into play, interacting with local communities, going to the mosques, especially in the UK. Just very diverse, the Muslims that I come into contact with. There's a decent size like South Asian community, so Pakistani, Indian, Bengali, and then even with like universities over the past 20 years or so, there's been a lot of international students from, let's say, West Africa, North Africa, general Middle Eastern countries, and speaking to people from all these different cultures, and learned about Islam alongside this, and learned about that country's experience with Islam and how it's practiced over there, alongside the cultural elements. I just find fascinating. So yeah,
I can tell you're interested a lot in the culture. I've learned a lot. I'm like learning from you. I'm learning a lot, especially like watching your videos.
Excellent stuff. Really appreciate it.
How did you get like this scheduled? Like, what were the logistics of actually being like, yo, can I come to the mosque and
so actually, I think so. The first time I did so during Ramadan, you'd probably have to scroll down because I've made like 200 posts, but you should probably be scrolling down for a bit. But I started fasting, obviously, and then I was documenting what I was eating, how it was going, my suhoor and iftar meals. That's getting a bit closer. It's more where it's like plain backgrounds of just me in my room that you start to get to where I was fasting for Ramadan. Bit further up now. This is when I started, starting the religion. You can see that post of the food there. I think that's a few days into Ramadan. Like I went out for a meal with the local halal restaurant owner on my university campus. Had a great time. And what I was going to say is I think the question was about how did I get to go into mosques in the first place. So the first time, a few posts before this, what happened is a few of my videos went viral on Instagram. I got over like 1.5 million views, I think, my first video on fasting. Then the next few got a few 100,000, 500K, that type of thing. So through that, like a load of people from my uni saw the videos, like people from the Islamic Society, the ISOC as they're known. And they said, you should come and fast with us or come and break the fast at the university prayer room. So that's the mosque in Lancaster. It just opened before Ramadan. And that's the second mosque I went to, actually. But I went to the university prayer rooms, met with a lot of the local community. And then through that, it was since obviously I kind of built the platform, it was quite easy just to get into contact with people in various cities and towns across the UK.
You just like DM them and talk to people? Because I would like to
people DM'd me. They were just like, come to such and such mosque in Bradford or Blackburn, Birmingham.
Wow, bro.
Recently. So I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely. Initially, yeah.
No, go.
So it's only recently that I've started. Before the past few weeks, actually, I wasn't really aware of like the editing process for like how to edit like a tour of a mosque or something. So originally it was just me like taking pictures of the different mosques. We went on like a tour around a particular city or town. A good one was Blackburn, which is near Lancaster, which is where I stay for university. I think it's got about 66 mosques, and it's quite a small town. So we went to the main mosques, some of the main purpose-built mosques there, and yeah, I had a fantastic time. Went out with some halal food on the high street.
Halal food.
Yeah.
I love that concept of that. Actually is one of the initiating things. Something that initiated my entire interest into Islam is hearing the word haram being used. And I was like,
Really?
oh, something can just be like something in itself can just be wrong. There's no exception. Haram. Like I heard people say that, like haram. Like if you ever want to have like a suicidal thought and you ever want to do such an atrocity, haram. And I've always been taught like, well, yeah, people have like they go through depression and hard things. Haram. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like don't hurt yourself. There's no exception. Haram. And yeah, haram halal. Side note, I love that concept of good bad. It's nice. Like food is either, I'd never been taught that in Christianity. Food is haram or halal in Islam. Like, oh, that makes sense. Like food can be prepared incorrectly or correctly. Food can be, I don't know. It's nice. Even me and my friends say it who aren't Muslim. Like we say haram, and like they say it too. Like, oh, that's haram, or oh, like that's got to be haram. Like it makes sense, Can I ask you? So what have your, again, if you want to share, because maybe this is personal, but like, what have your friends, family, like when you start making videos about Islam, or when you meet a new person and they say, oh, what are you up to? Like, who are you? Are you like, oh, like, well, what are they going to think when they see me making videos about Islam?
Well, do you know what? In real life, I've had it's been pretty positive, to be honest. My parents and friends have shown like a vague interest, but it's never really been negative. Quite open-minded people. Like you were just saying about the haram halal thing. Sometimes people will say jokingly when we're just doing something, "Is it haram?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like when we're talking about our routine.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's been. I've had an excellent time. It's lucky as well because I know not everyone who's maybe from my background or an English background or so on and so forth sometimes doesn't have the best experience. But I've been pretty good, to be honest. Initially, there was a bit of an interest though, like, okay, so you enter the mosque and with a load of people, but then after that, just asked a few questions and had no problems. Been pretty good.
What similarities do you see between Islam and Christianity?
Similarities. So
you see more similarities than differences?
So I'd probably say a mixture, to be honest, because obviously there's similarities in the sense of a lot of the prophets are the same, many of the stories are the same, but differences in the sense, the differences that are present are quite profound. So, for example, one of the major sins in Islam is called something called shirk. It's polytheism. So that's worshipping idols or anything other than Allah, the one God. So obviously in Christianity, there's the belief in the Trinity, Jesus, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. In Islam, they believe Jesus was a prophet, the prophet Isa. And that he was raised to heaven instead of crucified. And obviously, I think it falls under shirk, believing that Jesus is God. So while obviously Muslims and Christians still believe in Jesus, it's quite a profound difference. Many of the other stories and these types of things, a lot of the foundations are the same, but in terms of some of the practices, some of the core beliefs, the differences that are present are sometimes quite potent, you would say.
Like what?
So like I said, like Jesus not being God in Islam, being a prophet.
Yeah.
And then in terms of some of the practices, since there's a lot of denominations in Christianity, some of the practice is quite flexible, how you practice the religion. So I was always under the impression that all you had to do in Christianity, since obviously the main belief in Christianity is that Jesus died for the sins of humanity. So I was always just under the impression, I can just repent, it'll be fine, and then, but in Islam, there's obviously, like we said, with the halal and haram, there's many guidelines, and like you say, that's what a lot of people like about the religion, and why a lot of people find it can be quite, maybe not easy to follow, but at least when you're following it, for the most part, the main guidelines and the main aspects of the sunnah and ways of practicing. So obviously that would include like the praying 5 times a day, the dietary requirements, the many other things, like how you dress, for example. It's obviously there's the hijab. A lot of people think, someone told me this recently, a lot of people think that just refers to the female headscarf, but in actual fact, I remember the thobe in a way, or men covering themselves, or covering the aura, I think it's called, which is like parts of the body. So like, let's say you might speak to Muslim men who don't show a certain point above their knees, or their knees, or like the belly button and this sort of stuff, and that's called the aura. So that's covered as well. And some people say, this is just a male hijab essentially. And of course, there's same with women. It's just it's interesting to hear about and observe. And actually, I have a few phobes. Do you have any phobes yourself, Grayson?
Any what?
Phobes. Or
phobes? Yeah, I do. I have 2. They're so sick. Yeah, I love putting them on. I feel pure. Like I feel like I didn't do anything wrong in them. Like you just feel like holy.
Yeah, I have so I've got a Pakistani one, and then an Emirati phobe, and then I've got another white one. I don't know where it's from, but yeah, like it's interesting when you put on the phobe. This is another interesting conversation. I was watching I saw a clip from a famous talker. He's called Numan Ali Khan. He's a famous scholar in Islam, and he was saying with the phobes, because obviously a lot of phobes sometimes might have a cultural element. It might be, the design of the phobe might be maybe not, comes from a particular culture, is the best way of saying it. So a popular one in the UK is a Moroccan phobe. Kind of comes down a bit lower and has like a gold pattern around the I guess the top of the phobe. And what Numan Ali Khan said, and this is the same for pretty much any clothing actually, is that some people sometimes mistake like Islam with culture. So what he argues is that like, let's say, obviously we like wearing phobes because it's good to embrace the culture and get to know some of the cultural practices with people in the community. But I think what he said is while this is the case, it's also not losing sight of the fact that this isn't, as long as you're being modest in your dress and covering yourself. Like, let's say I could just wear normal English clothes, and as long as it's within the fold of Islam, then it'd be permissible. So I think
that's
the
a
broader
great reminder too. Like, it's not the culture. Same thing with everything in life. Like, the culture is just enriching it. It's not necessarily. It's a good point. Yeah. That's the same thing that I realized too. Like, I don't have to. This isn't a religion only for Arabs, for example. Even Buddhism, same. Like, you don't have to be. You can be white and be a Buddhist monk. There was Buddhist monks at where I was that were white, So it's good to. So you make a good point. I mean, the foundations of Islam and Christianity are. The foundation of Christianity is considered shirk in Islam, that associating any partner with God. So what do you believe?
What do I believe currently? So I'm kind of at a crossroads currently, because obviously this is what everyone wants to know.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So I'm kind of, like I said, I'm in a bit of a crossroads, because currently I'm like amidst my broader study of both Islam and religion in general, and I find that with my approach, I like to take an analytical and an evidence-based approach, and it could take however long, but I want to make sure that when I do my research, I don't just come to quick judgments without exploring all the different possibilities and different arguments. And that isn't to say I don't believe in Islam at the moment. It's just to say that I'm making sure I do my full research before making any.
That's exactly
any
where
judgments.
that's exactly where I'm. So, but you are. That's exactly like where I am. You are interested in your own personal faith in Islam. I mean, if you want to share it, you don't have to necessarily talk about your personal faith. But is that what you? If you want to talk about it, is that you are interested yourself in it? Like it makes sense?
Yeah, I can definitely see the after observing the way of life, that a lot of Islam that I've studied thus far does make a lot of sense, and after speaking to successful Muslims both online and in my personal life and at university, seeing how the religion kind of it's a good, it's a solid foundation to a good personality and to a respectable personality. And someone, because oftentimes, if someone has, this isn't always the case, but if someone has those core religious values that they don't flip on and that it's set in stone, then a lot of the time that means that it's someone you can trust, even if, perhaps you don't agree on everything or you're not friends with it. I found that if there's someone who's religious in that sense, you can genuinely tell they take it seriously, and they're unapologetic in the faith. Then it's it's just a respectful thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. Now it's what in terms of actions, like a Christian, like I know when I ask you what the main difference between Christianity and Islam are, like with like the foundations of the religion. What about if you only talked about like not belief, but like what the person actually does? Like, does a Muslim walk like this and a Christian walks like this? Like, what differences do you see in how literally a Christian and a Muslim would interact in real life in a non-religious context, going to a restaurant or communicating or arguing with their spouse? What differences do you think the books teach in terms of actually how to live your physical life?
Now that's a difficult one because I think when it comes to, like you said, individuals and what the books preach, some of the this is where you've got to make the separation. A lot of people, make sure to. I think you've got to separate Christianity from Christians and Islam from Muslims, because as it's often pointed out in many of my comment sections, Islam is perfect if you're looking at it from a Muslim or an Islamic perspective. The belief that Islam is perfect, but Muslims are not. There's the same in Christianity, it's everyone being sinners is the main tenet, and that you repent to Jesus for that. Obviously, that's different in Islam. The core belief systems, but those general rules I've found coincide, and I think they're quite accurate, to be honest.
You think they go together, like pretty much? You'd be a similar person.
Yeah, I mean that's why, because I think when you're approaching these topics, I think sometimes a lot of the discourse, some people can make generalizations. Christians do this, or a particular school of thought within Islam think this, and as a result, they do this, which we don't agree with. I think, while obviously there is some things within the core beliefs where that can be made, I think also you've got to look at things individually and approach things with a bit of rationality, and through that, I think you can come to a more logical conclusion.
Yeah, that's always my argument with people, because if you ask someone like, is a Christian, do the religions teach the same thing? And it's immediately, well, this religion, like I asked God Logic, a famous Christian streamer, and he basically said the only similarities I see are like monotheism and that they follow the same prophets, but besides that, this and this. And I think, but if you actually look at what like we don't live in fairy tale Candyland, we live in real life. Like, you shake people's hand and you interact with people and you dress and you go out of the house. And then when you only think in that perspective, I see like literally 95+% similarities. Like, if I were to, I even say this to people who question me, like you should come back to Jesus, like follow Christianity. And I think, okay, wait, what would change if I came, like, what does that even mean? Like, would I now, like, obviously this isn't the case, but like, would I wake up, like, I would be doing the same thing, right? I wake up and go brush my teeth. I go work out. I need to come home. I need to be kind to people. And I'm like, it's the same. It's like really the same foundation, which it is. I mean, it's an Abrahamic religion. But even like Buddhism too, like the way that they teach you how to interact with people. It's not the same. It's not 5 times a day prayer, but it's, it's the same concept. Of when you wake up, make sure you spend time alone every day, which is what prayer is too. Make sure you like spend time doing something above just this and talking basically to yourself or to the God, to the universe in Buddhism. And yeah, spread love. I mean, it's not, it's cool though that what's different to me about Islam is that it gives so much direction on everything. Like there's always, even in the religion, like the concept of haram, halal, that doesn't exist in Christianity. That doesn't exist in Buddhism. There's sin, but there's not this, it's not even used in the language. Like there's good and there's bad. Like hijab, you have there's a rule for how you dress. There's a rule for what you say. And if you say something wrong, if you do something wrong at if you do something out of the, like I've done that before, like a prayer like I showed up, went to a mosque and I did one of the prayers and I showed up late. And so like after you do like a raka, like a set of the pray, I was late and then I like didn't, anyway, at the end of it, then if you're late, you're supposed to like continue and finish it. And like I didn't do that. And so then at the end, somebody like, hey brother, like just so you know, like you do this. And I was like, oh, okay. And then another time, the guy next to me, we were both late. And I had done this before and someone had responded to me. But this time I was like, hey, like, can you show me what to doing? Like I'm new. But he was in the middle of finishing the prayer. The imam started talking. And since he was late, he started doing more prayers. And he's like looking there and like, he's like, alhamdulillah, or whatever. I don't know what to say, but. And I was like, hey, bro, can you show me? Or whatever he was saying, he was just like, and I was like, hey, bro, could I do this with you? Can you teach me? And like, he didn't even look at me. He had his eyes open. And he was just like, another kid. And I thought, oh, wow, okay. So, yeah, he's praying. And at the end, he was like,
yeah, you've
hey, I was praying like we're taught to not. And I was like, yeah, I'm new. I'm sorry. And he was like, oh, okay, you're good. He's like, we're taught to, we never stop the prayer. And I thought, dang, like there's so much firmness in this religion. That's like the big difference I see.
Yeah, because like you mentioned, there's also another mistake that I hear a lot of people make when they first enter a mosque. So you've got to give people space when they're praying, and a mistake I've heard some people make, which is like one of the worst things you can do, which obviously it's fine because people, like you said, are understanding, people are new, but like walking in front of someone when they're praying. I know some people who did that, and yes. Obviously, like I say, it's a learning experience, but I guess once these things have happened once, then you're fine. Once it's been explained properly.
Yeah, that's the one big thing that I see with Islam that I didn't see in other religions is it's like fully, like I learned in Buddhism, like it's a way of life, but I don't know. It seems so vague. Like it just seems like general principles. And then in Islam, it's like you can ask a question and there's always some answer. Like marriage. I don't know. There's just so many like laws to know. So you've seen that too, though.
Yeah, I'm just gonna head to the toilet quick, mate. By the way.
Yeah. Me as well. I'm gonna put on one of your videos.
Oh.
Yeah. I'll put on one of your videos while we wait.
No problem.
We'll come back.
I'll probably only be like 1 minute. But...
Okay. Yeah. No. I'll leave you on here so when you come back. Okay. This is going. Are you guys enjoying this conversation, guys? Because I tell you what, I am. This is fascinating. We'll do a Q&A in a bit. Oh, I got a good question for him. What do you think Islam teaches children that Christianity doesn't? What do you think Christianity teaches children that Islam doesn't? Imagine the level of dedication the companion's first followers praying 50 times a day. Yeah, that's a grind for sure, for sure.
Hello? Can you hear me? Is this even on? Hold on a second. Is the audio for this? Oh, it might be, but I can't hear it. Hello? People in the chat. Okay, wonderful. So no one else can hear this now, right? Oh, I've just flung my mic by accident. Didn't mean to do that. Right, let's just check this out. So how are we? We'll see how long Grayson takes. What were we talking about, by the way? I've kind of lost track now. You go on these toilet breaks and you forget. Dawkins isn't from Sheffield, he's from Oxford or Cambridge. Like, he was a professor at one of the universities who was an evolutionary biologist. That's where like his experience of religion came. Thank you very much, guys. Should I start uploading regular? By the way, Grayson, apparently the video was on mute while we were in the toilet.
Bruh. Wait, let me figure that out real quick. Why? That's a rip. At least you have captions on it.
Yeah. But do you know?
You guys can't hear this chat?
By the way, if anyone has any recommendations, because if you look at those captions there, I've just changed them recently.
Oh, sorry. What did you say? What'd you say, Will?
So I'm just talking about the captions. So if you look at the captions there, I have both the Arabic and the English on. But I've changed the format of my video. So if anyone has like a good like captions app or a program that kind of syncs Arabic and English translations quite well together that they could let me know about, then I'd love to know, because the past few weeks I've just started using like English captions, but it's good with the Arabic because then it reaches a wider audience. And the captions aren't always 100%. I've heard apparently that captions thing I use, so there's different dialects in Arabic, and apparently that one's more of like an Egyptian dialect, and everyone kind of points it out, and I would have had no idea even otherwise, because there's many different types. So you've got Egyptian. It's pretty. I think there's like a different dialect for most countries that practice Islam and have Arabic as the primary language, but the Quran is in, I think it's traditional Arabic, if I remember correctly. But some people told me that while of course it's read and recited within the religion, when you're talking generally day to day, it's not often that type of speaking or that dialect isn't often referred to or adhered to outside of the religious, I guess, practices. Saudi dialect. Someone says something.
So, Will, do you edit all your own videos?
Yeah.
Yourself?
That's right. This is something with long form videos. I'll learn how to do it because people seem to want some more long form stuff. But I need to learn how to, with the long form videos, how to do good editing. Because to get people to watch, obviously, it seems like people would like to, but there's a lot that goes into YouTube. You've got to think about thumbnails, how to grab someone's attention, keeping people's attention.
Lucky for you, we can talk later. But my good buddy Noah owns a company that you might be interested in working with to help you just pump out way more content and be able to actually do what you're talented at, making it in front of the camera. You know?
Yeah, because it's interesting. Because I'm going into my final year of university, and obviously as a lawyer, like if I do become a lawyer, it's a very full-on job, and I still want to be creating videos alongside it because it's one of my favorite things, parts of the day. To be honest, like I just love making videos on stuff I'm passionate about.
It's so fun,
especially Islam. And here, getting the community. There's the community aspect, and getting advice from people, and all this sort of stuff. I just enjoy the whole process: the filming, the editing, the uploading, the interactions, both in real life and online as well. I just really, really enjoy it.
Yeah. Wilf, I have a question. What similarities, or no? What do you think Islam teaches children that Christianity doesn't?
So again, like we were saying earlier, it really depends on the environment you're in, because
but in general,
it's difficult because the type of Christianity that's, I guess, so for example, in Egypt, there's a religious minority, the Coptic Christians. And then in Eastern Europe, there's like the Eastern Orthodox Church. And then the Catholic Church, you've got Catholicism. And all these different denominations, believe it or not, they have quite different practices. Like, of course, the core beliefs, Jesus being God, salvation, all this sort of stuff. Those are the core beliefs. But I've spoken to like Coptic Christians from Egypt, and they'll fast for like, I can't remember exactly, but they have some, there's some certain, again, I don't want to get it wrong, so I won't say exactly, but there's some element of fasting that is promoted in Coptic Christianity in Egypt. And in Eastern Orthodoxy, the Orthodox Church, there's something similar, but in a slightly different vein. And when you're talking about teachings to children, again, it really depends on the culture. Some are more relaxed about it. Some instill the attributes of their particular denomination in their practice for the children.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, it like you say, if you're thinking about things that one religion preaches that the other doesn't, it's really difficult to pin down when you're talking in a broad sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, to me, it seems like the same religion, based on my experience, one is a little bit more wavering and liberal.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is more conservative. I think they're at the root of both of them. It's the same thing. Like if you get rid of the culture, get rid of like a thobe, for example, because that's not like a part of Islam. That's just covering. Like stuff like that. And
they're quite nice, though. You've got to admit.
Oh yeah, no, they're sick. Yeah, they're totally sick. Get rid of like the culture and really, what is it? And it seems like the same thing to me. It's just one is a little bit more, I would say, more liberal, and also I would also say more on the outside. Before we're looking into either of them, Christianity. Maybe that's because of the way I grew up. But yeah, it is. I'm biased on how I grew up. It's definitely, it seems more inviting. It appears to be more inviting. Like you can, I don't know, there's churches that I was a part of where the pastors are, all have tattoos and stuff. So I think people who feel like they've gone down a terrible path in their life aren't afraid to walk into that building. And they might be a lot more afraid to walk into a mosque. Now, if they do walk into a mosque, they're going to be treated the same way if they walk into a church, but with, or I mean, there's like a bigger barrier to entry. Like, I mean, think about being a girl. A girl to go to a mosque has to think like, what do I wear? A girl going to like church, the churches where I'm from are, you wouldn't need to worry besides just like looking nice.
Yeah, I think as well, and this is why in Islam, I'll be honest, I've interacted with many different communities, and it's pretty much been universally excellent experiences. But like you say, with things to think about, I think that's why having the community around you who are strong in the faith and strong in the deen is very important, because, and this is something you may hear from a lot of Muslims, and this is where part of the brotherhood comes in. because you've got a group of people who are strict on the religion, the deen, and then simultaneously to take those traits into other aspects of life, it can lead to success in many different occupations, whether that be health-wise, career-wise, and I've seen it. After witnessing how this has played out with people I know at university and elsewhere, it's a really beautiful thing. Beautiful thing to see. And I think when you talked about the barrier to entry, I think if there's perhaps a young woman or just any woman in general who's interested in looking into Islam, I'd probably say the best way of going about it would just be to maybe contact some local Muslim women. If you're part of Islam, you say Muslim sisters in the area, and I'm sure they'd be very happy to take you through some of the basics and go through it. It's as well. I think obviously we talked about the halal and the haram, and Islam having regulations, but I think when it's newcomers, a lot of people understand this, and I think it's it's quite a beautiful way of going about it. But there's a degree of care on how you portray the message to, let's say, someone who's a revert or looking into Islam, in order to not drive them away. You tell them, okay, this is what the religion says, and here are the reasons for it. But it's done in like a calm and kind of an inviting way, and I think that approach can often be the best way of going about it. And I've found that when I've spoken to people, that's the general approach they get. The odd time there might be, I've heard the odd thing about like maybe some elders at the mosque, like getting I don't know exactly, but maybe not. I guess it's because they're not familiar with newcomers coming into the area. They might get a certain reaction, not always negative, but don't want to generalize, of course. But for the most part, things from if you take that way of approaching the religion, then often leads to success.
Yeah. So you think that children are, relatively, the religions are taught the same actions on how to be a person, like in terms of raising a child. What does Christianity versus Islam teach children?
Yeah, it's difficult to make the comparison, I'll be honest, but so I won't make the generalization, but it's an interesting it's an interesting point nonetheless.
So if you were to, what if question is a what if, it's a not real scenario, but if you were to, boom, you have a kid right now, you have a child, 2 children, a girl, a boy, what religion are you teaching them?
Well, to be honest, I think when approaching this, it's important to think as a parent what values you yourself hold and what do you want to pass off onto the children. And if I'm still exploring different religions, I want to make sure that the stuff that I teach them is stuff that both general rules for life and stuff I've both done research in and that I'm quite confident is the truth. So I think when I'm in the researching stage, I probably wouldn't mention religion too much, like the specifics. I might talk about the belief in God, but beyond that, like let's say if I was to convert to a religion or become strong in faith in a particular religion, then I'd of course teach the values of that religion. But I think when I'm still exploring, it'd be a bit more difficult, so it'd be best just to teach probably some of the key tenets of maybe monotheism and that type of thing. So,
I think that's exactly what I would do. I think I would do the same thing. We're quite similar. I would do the same thing. I would teach monotheism, teach one God. I would teach them that you can pray out loud to God, or you can pray, you can bow down like this, and you can make wudu before you can wash yourself to be pure. I would love to take them to a mosque, take them to a church. I don't know. I really want to I would love to do like a real experiment with like children and like see what a child, depending on how many, God willing, kids I have, like what would happen if you know, what would happen if you literally tried to give them, like you tell them what you believe, and then you just be like, we're gonna explore together, and like here you go, like I'll take you to a Hindu temple, you can see it. I'll take you to a church. We'll go to a Catholic church. We'll go to a regular church. I'll just take you to the mosque, and like we just kind of grow up. And I don't ever tell them what to believe. I teach them what I believe. I say this is my belief.
Yeah,
like,
I mean.
So I don't think anyone, I don't know any parent that's ever done that. It almost be like an experiment. What will the kid end up believing?
It's interesting
because who knows about that?
Because in relation to what we're talking about now and going through different religions, I actually have a friend from Bangladesh at university. He's a Bangladeshi international student, sometimes called Bengali. The terms are somewhat interchangeable, but he apparently, over the course of about 4 years, he did the same, born into a Muslim family, Bangladesh obviously being predominantly Muslim, but he went through a similar journey. He remained Muslim, but he was exploring different faiths and, looking for the truth. And after 4 years of research, I had a conversation with him. He said that he ended up coming back to his original thought that Islam was indeed the truth. And it'd be interesting if I could pick the gentleman's brain a bit on that, because I couldn't find out some of the specifics as to why, but it was a fascinating that someone has gone through a similar process to us. And I think to be honest, I think there's been many who have in the past, but perhaps haven't shown it online, or it's been more of a personal thing.
Yeah. If I had to summarize my journey, it would be exactly like what he just said, like what his journey, because mine was looking deep into Christianity and studying the Bible and knowing that there was something at church. There was something about these people that was so inviting and so pure, like their souls. And then when I went further and further into it, and then it's like I did a loop-de-loop, because then I came like out the other side being like, oh, maybe this isn't real. And then now I'm like coming back to it, like understanding Jesus's life. And now I believe Jesus submitted to the will of God and like prayed to God, or he did according to the Bible. And so now it's like I did a loop-de-loop thinking, does not following God like bring you peace? No, it doesn't. There must have been peace when I was down here. So let me go. And then it's like now feels like I'm back, like understanding. Like in church, we would always wear, or people would wear these bracelets that said WWJD. You ever heard of that?
WWJD.
What would Jesus
do?
What would Jesus do? It's like a representation of at any moment when you're doing something, what would Jesus do?
Oh, that's actually quite neat, that is.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, what would Jesus do?
I thought you were talking about like the sneaker then, and I was like, the JD brand. But
now it's like I feel like this Islam. Like Islam is WWJD. What would Jesus do? He would pray to God. He would be pure. It's like everything I'm learning in Islam. Like I knew it was true. Like I knew what I was reading about Jesus was true. I knew the Bible. I knew it was there. And now it's like I feel like I found it. So
yeah.
So you would teach your kids like monotheism. It's an interesting question. You would teach your kids like this is what I would teach my kids: monotheism and continue your research?
Yeah. I mean, that would be the general idea, I presume.
Why not? What is something you're scared to say out loud about religion?
I wouldn't say. I mean, I think when thinking about stuff like this, I think obviously there's a number of topics in all religion that I guess in my opinion, kind of require a degree of care when approaching, because sometimes, people who are maybe looking to attack the religion or so on and so forth may take some things out of context, or they may not give the proper explanation. So I think when I approach certain topics in Islam, I think I'll probably take it from the angle of listening and speaking to, either scholars of the religion or knowledgeable people, the local imam, and perhaps even publishing the dialogue on my page, so people can listen to an in-depth explanation. Because I think there's, like I say, obviously, as someone who's learning about these things for the first time, you're not going to have all the knowledge in the world. And by speaking to knowledgeable people, you kind of can bridge that gap. So, yeah, I think that'll be my approach when coming to things such as maybe things or topics I've not covered thus far that might be, I guess, not controversial, but require a bit of I guess, dialogue to properly expand on.
That's like everyone's criticism of me, at least Muslims who follow me. They're like, why are you not talking enough to scholars and stuff? Like, I'm taking it slow.
Don't worry. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, to be honest with you, this is the thing with Islam that I've found. So there's a name for someone who has memorized the whole Quran, like can recite the whole Quran. I can't remember what it's called. People in the chat will be able to tell you. But there's about 10, 15 million in the world, I think, maybe even more than that. And you go to most mosques, most imams, most sheikhs will be able to recite to you digitally the entire Quran.
That is unreal. The first time I heard that, I was like,
Hafiz.
I was at a mosque and they were like, yeah, like people have memorized the whole Quran, like those kids over there. I was like, wait, they know I never heard that. I was like, wait, they know the whole book? Like, yeah, you can go ask them a verse. It's like, what?
Some have even memorized the whole of the hadiths as well, which is an even bigger selection, which is like sayings of the Prophet, which are kind of compiled from, the wives, the companions, close confidants of the Prophet, and there's a whole law and process with the hadiths, because there's things called authentic hadiths, and there's kind of like I guess levels to the hadiths, like authentic, in how trusted they are. I can't remember the exact terms, but alongside primary Quran readings, a lot of the time this will be the case when I look into the night journey of the Prophet, which we discuss later. A lot of the details come through the hadiths, like the more intricate details. It's touched upon in the Quran, but some of the more finer details that kind of allow you to piece together the story in a more, I guess, in an easier way to digest, are in the hadiths. And I think it's the same with other things, like despite the fact that obviously we learn about the 5 prayers a day and all this other stuff through, I think it's in the Quran anyway, but the specific way you go about prayer, some of the details in relation to prostration and so on and so forth are found in the hadiths. So
there's a lot that's in the hadiths. The first time I went to a mosque, I had never heard of hadiths before going there, so I had read the whole Quran. I was like, I'm interested, I want to go to a mosque. And the first time I went to a mosque, there was a bookshelf in the corner, and this doesn't exist at the churches I've ever been to, where there's like a bunch of books. So after we prayed, I was like, oh, what are all those books over there? Like, can we go read for a bit with my friend who brought me? And then I saw Arabic everywhere. I just say like ding ching ling. I can't read any of it. So I'm like, what are all these books? Like, are these all the Quran? Like, no, these are like sayings of the Prophet. I was like, wait, what? Like, oh, there's another book? It was pretty shocking to me and a little bit disappointing, because I thought I kind of understood the religion after reading the Quran. And then, like you said, I started to realize, oh yeah, it's not in the Quran how to pray. Like, so that has to come from other source. And then, I mean, a lot of it is from the actual actions are from other sources. It's like the Quran lays out the principles, and then the hadiths actually say what to do, which I really want to talk to people who consider themselves Quranists, who like only necessarily follow the Quran, and like just hear what they have to say about that, because that's interesting.
Yeah, because
there's so much more to learn. It's so exciting. Praise God for the fact that we have the internet and we can just connect right now and talk to 500 people live, and thousands more will see this. Like, this is so wonderful, Like in the past, we would have never been able to be friends unless I literally Probably wrote a letter to you or something. I don't know how we would know each other, but this is so sick, bro.
So send a letter glazing your work from Sheffield. Instead, an Instagram DM's usually sufficient.
Instead, just slide in the DM, say what's up.
Yeah, so in relation to the hadiths as well, there's like thousands. I think the collection of hadiths is actually, I think, in terms of words and pages, it's actually much bigger than the Quran. And there's also the hadiths, I think, are a collection of books. So behind me, I have this is like a paperback copy of Sahih al-Bukhari, which I think are just a selection of some of the, I guess, main authentic hadiths. But I think there's also, there's a number of other books, because this only has, so it says here, Sahih Bukhari contains 7,563 hadith reports, but some 2,450 may be considered distinct. And as a result, this book contains 2,398. So essentially, there's some hadiths that it might be like the same like premise to the hadith, like the same event that's just been described by several different people. So sometimes they get condensed down to, the same thing. And I think that's where, hopefully,
the hadiths are so fascinating.
That could have been bad, but yeah. So so the hadiths, that's another thing. So hadiths where a number of people confirm the same event happening in pretty much the same way. They're often, I guess, like I said, there was different levels and different categories for hadiths on how trusted they were. But ones where several people say the same thing about the same event, those are usually considered authentic and the most trusted. So, yeah.
Did you how much longer would you like to? I would love to invite you to continue to stay on the live stream. How much longer do you intend to want to keep talking?
No
time limit?
Yeah, mine probably like half an hour to an hour, maybe.
Okay.
So I'll probably be having like family dinner in a few minutes.
MashaAllah. It's beautiful.
Not
family
sure
dinner.
what, but
MashaAllah. That's my favorite word. I had
to put a post-it note on my door so that I didn't get any interruptions. Sometimes my dad just like bounds into my room to deliver clothes or something.
That's wonderful.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I those are the questions, like, I'm enjoying just talking and seeing what comes up. Like, did you have any things that you wanted to ask me?
Yeah, this was actually something I've just thought of now. So we were talking like when we had a brief call yesterday about trips to the Middle East and Muslim countries or something. Yeah. So I've not actually been to one yet, and I need to either this Christmas or this next summer when I get the chance, when I'm off from uni, see what recommendations people had, because I was potentially either going to. Hopefully a lot of people recommend like the Gulf countries for a first-time traveler, or like Morocco or somewhere like that. So, and simply just because they tend to be safer. So like Kuwait, the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain. There's a number of other countries. Some people even said for your first visit, maybe head over to Saudi or something. But it'd be something to consider.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like having 500 people live. I mean, you can name any country and there'll be people from there. So like, who here is from Iraq? Please don't lie. God is watching. Please don't lie. Who here is currently not from Iraq, but currently in Iraq? Let's see.
And as well, right? When you go to a Muslim country, this will be the fascinating thing to observe. So obviously. Over the past several months, I've been interacting with different Muslim communities across the UK. there's some areas where it is predominantly Muslim, so you do kind of get a sense of maybe what it'd be like in a Muslim country. But to actually experience it, both being in the land, hearing the call to prayer, the 5 times a day, having everything there is halal, interacting with the people. I just think everything about a trip to one of those countries would be fascinating, and it'd be great content as well. Especially
really good. It really would be. I would
from
love
a young fascinated student.
Yeah, it's so funny because in the past I would have been so scared. Just thought of. Hear me out. See, okay, I want to see if this is the same thing that you thought. Like, I genuinely thought that Islam was like a scary religion, and the Middle East is associated with Islam. So like growing up, as I got older, I began to understand just the principle that what people tell you is not true about anything unless you've experienced it firsthand. So I did kind of have that in the back of my mind, but I still thought like it really probably stems from 9/11 happening in the US, and that just raised like the fear of Muslims by so much. I mean, literally, like when you go to airport, I mean, if you're told that a person who looks like this just bombed your country and they believe in this religion, and then when you see another person who looks like that, you think, just for the sake of my life, like when you're on a plane, like what is that person wearing? It's just so funny because now I think the exact opposite. Like now when I see a girl wearing a hijab, I like literally think like, oh, wow, like what? I'm sure that person, like I would love to like talk to them. It's easier to point out a hijabi rather than like a Muslim man, right? Because if they're wearing a covering, you can easily see them. So it's just such the opposite of what I think now. Or now I see like someone with a big beard. I'm like, oh, that's probably a Muslim man. I think, wow, what a pure soul. I'm sure they are, because everyone I've talked to is so nice. Like now the same thing I think with Christianity. I hope other religions, like people who have grown up in a Middle Eastern country, I hope they think the same thing about Christians, like going to a church. They're not scared because it's the same. You get the same vibe. I've got the same vibe from devout Christians, devout Muslims. It's the same vibe. Like you feel so comfortable around them that they don't have ulterior motives to, I don't know, try to get something out of you, or it's like the same. It's wonderful to realize that the world is so connected and so similar, despite what you see on the news. Everybody always says this, but it's so true. Like when you actually start looking at things in your own, you're like, everything is so beautiful.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's in terms of like what my opinion was before reading about Islam, it was kind of just like a neutral opinion. I know some people like have a negative view going in, some people have a positive view, but I guess some of that's down to some media coverage in some of the West. But to be honest, like, I don't think I ever really had those thoughts about the religion as a whole, because I always tried to not only just because I knew Muslims at my school, at my secondary school, but the interesting thing is the Muslims I knew at my secondary school, at the time, since religion wasn't really brought up, I almost didn't realize they were Muslim, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like it was an interesting thing, because they were mostly.
Were you surrounded by Muslims though? Like being in the UK, I have this idea that there's a lot more Muslims there. I mean, it definitely depends on the literal neighborhood and city you're in, but
it does depend on where you are, because I think the UK population, I think it's about 7% Muslim. But whether or not you're interacting with larger Muslim communities does depend where you live. So in Sheffield, for example, there's where I live. I had never actually been to I went after Ramadan. So it's called Eid, like the celebration day. There's 2 of them, one after Ramadan and one like in the middle of Hajj, the Hajj pilgrimage.
Okay.
So I went to the Grand Mosque in Sheffield. It's quite a large Yemeni community in Sheffield. Do you know Prince Nassim Hamed is? He's like a British boxer, former featherweight 5-time world champion, I think.
What's
from like the 90s. Prince Nassim Hamed. He's from Sheffield. He's like British Yemeni.
Prince Nassim. Oh yeah, it came right up. This guy?
Yeah, that's him. So he's from Sheffield, British Yemeni. And
homie got big.
Well, I mean, with age, but yeah. So there's quite a notable Yemeni community in Sheffield, and I'd never actually been to that side of Sheffield. Sheffield's quite big, because I live like right on the other side. I live in like a town just outside Sheffield, and it was my first time actually interacting with the wider Sheffield Muslim community. Because where I live, like there is Muslims, but there's not many. Like it's quite a low percentage. So there's like maybe only a few people who wore the hijab at my secondary school, out of the whole school. So I never really, had these conversations. So it was kind of just like a neutral view of Islam before actually looking into it more. So I'm just laughing at this picture.
What I was saying, like I wonder if it's perpetuated more in the U.S., like in the media. But like, I mean, even when you, like, this is what I thought Islam. Which I mean, just in the back of my head, like this is literally what I thought Islam is. Like, I mean, I just googled terrorism. It's.
Mate, I mean, you don't want to get the stream banned with these searches.
What'd you say?
You don't want to get the stream banned with these searches.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to pop up if you type that up.
Oh, that's true. But I mean, I am on Google. I think we're good. Like, this is what I associate people who wear this with Islam. It's like, I don't know. This is what it's like perpetuated like that. It's so sad. But hey, those who, I think it says in the Bible. Yeah, it says it in the Bible. Those who seek will find. I think that's quoting Jesus in the Bible. And that's exactly how I feel. Like the people who actually seek out everything and they actually just continue to seek and learn, find out that it's just, all this is just BS. About every religion. It's all just prejudices.
Yeah. After this conversation, now going to find yourself on, someone said CIA has entered the chat.
Yeah, like this is the extreme. This is exactly right. This is like the extreme. But the problem is people are too afraid to talk to people. Like they're too afraid to just talk because as soon as you start talking to people, you realize it's not true. It's like it's even like the transgender like movement. Oh, this is like everyone's changing gender. Everyone's doing X, Y, and Z. Like, bro, nobody is doing that. Like, this is go outside.
Another controversial topic.
Seen someone identifying as a panda with your eyes? No, this is just some person online, just like terrorism or whatever. It's all the same thing. It's not actually happening. It is, but it's just like what's the news, bro, the media. But it's because it just gets clicks. Like, yeah, it's interesting to watch a person say that identifies a panda. So I'm going to share that video with my friend and be like, yo, look at this. But it's not actually happening around us.
Yeah, 100%. But it is an interesting conversation because when you speak to people who are either interested in Islam, either aren't Muslim or converts or reverts, the official term themselves, it's very interesting to hear what their opinion was before they found Islam, when they found it, what the journey was like, and then how they've been progressing in their journey as a new Muslim. So yeah, it's always fascinating. It's one of the first things people ask me, why, how did you get interested? And yeah, it's always quite beautiful, to be honest, to expand upon.
Yeah. What other there's a few options we could do here. We could continue to talk about any subjects. I don't have anything on the top of my mind like to go into because I know there's some interesting stuff we could talk about. We could also bring up people to like hop in here and join our conversation or do a Q&A. Chat, what do you guys want to see? What do you guys want to see for the remaining of the conversation? Or what, Wilf, you got any ideas?
Not off the top of my head, to be honest with you, mate. But when we're talking about visiting the Middle East, what countries were you thinking of? Or like what was on your mind and like activities to do out there?
I mean, I want to go, which God willing, I will be later this year. I won't reveal where I'm going, but I will be going, inshallah, to a Muslim country, or predominantly Muslim country this year. It won't be in the Middle East, but
South Asia.
No, in Africa.
Ooh, North Africa.
I won't say just yet. We'll see. But oh dang, it went away. Let me share.
I've got a few guesses, but we won't go. We're gonna keep it as a surprise.
Let me see.
There's actually someone.
This is where I traveled. This is where I lived in Thailand when I went to so let's see the map. Gosh, Google Maps is just so, dude, praise God for the internet. This is so sick. You can
How long did you go to Thailand for?
So me and my friend Kurt in the chat, he helped me he created all those videos that we did together. We were in Thailand for about 3 months. And then I went to Vietnam for about 3 months. I also went to Cambodia for a bit. We were in, man, Japan is far. We were in Japan for a few weeks, and I got the chance to spend like one night in South Korea, one night in Taiwan.
That's unbelievable. That is.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. We saved up money. Me and my friend Kurt saved up money all summer with our own business. I wish I could. I have it on I can't pull it off the wall, but I have like a little flyer because we had a pressure washing and fence painting company. So we would pass out flyers. We worked for like 3 months in the sun in Texas, saved up money, and we packed a backpack. We were off. We went to Thailand, and we mostly stayed. When we stayed in like one place in Thailand, where like I trained Muay Thai, lived at the Buddhist temple. It was like on this island. So it was really off of Thailand right here, like a small island.
Yeah, fascinating stuff.
If anyone's ever heard of like the full moon party, that's where this island, if you start looking into Thailand, you'll hear people talk about the full moon party. That's what this island is like famous for. I mean, people live here though. Like it's like half Thai people, half.
You see, these are the sorts of trips that I really want to get around to because like, I don't know if you know about British holiday goers, but the classic lads holiday destinations that I've been to, because that's where all my friends tend to go, is the Canary Islands, so Tenerife, and then just like the south of Spain. So this year we went to Malaga in the south of Spain, just like because I don't know if it's as big in the US, but like this is part of where the interesting thing with like how the ways of life conflict, because in the UK, the big scene in the UK, like the drinking culture is very big, like alcohol and also clubbing. But those are two things I'm not fond of. Like I just don't really like alcohol, and I'm not a big clubbing fan either. Like I'll be 100% honest. So it's interesting observing the difference in that sense, due to the fact that that's in the culture in the UK, and in like Ireland and a few other countries, means that when you see the differences between like how my Muslim friends, spend the time both recreationally and professionally. Professionally, I guess, is similar for both communities, but the recreational time, it's very fascinating seeing some of the differences there. Of course, not everyone in the UK. They're called. I don't know if people have heard of like secular Islam, where people aren't necessarily on the deen, or they kind of fall into that for a bit. But for practicing Muslims that I know, which there's a lot of in the UK, it's fascinating to see the differences in daily life between those two groups.
Yeah. Regarding what countries I want to go to, I mean, I eventually want to go. I think of I want to go to the country with the biggest prejudices that I have or have been taught. Like the scariest sounding countries to me in the entire world are definitely the Middle East. Let's see, like Afghanistan. Just I don't know anything really. I don't know off the top of my head. I can't tell you what. I don't know anyone who's been to these countries, so I Oh, I do know.
Yeah.
The only people I know who have been to these countries are people that have had that are in like the U.S. military that I've met that are like were stationed here. So, you know,
Yeah.
I always associate these countries with fighting,
I think
like Taliban fighting. Like, oh yeah, you've been Afghan. Yeah, I was deployed to Iraq, like that. Iraq, Afghanistan. Those are probably the two countries I really want to go to because I know I'm going to get there and be like, oh, what a beautiful place. What a beautiful people. And I'm just going to come back and be like, yeah, I've been to Iraq. You've been to Iraq? Like, yeah, it's awesome. Like, so I probably Iraq and Afghanistan because those two words to me, like in American, that like raises immediate, you think of like fighting because American soldiers were deployed there for like the past, I don't know, 20 years. 9/11 and all that.
And yeah, I mean, to be honest, this is why I'm quite lucky because I know quite a few Iraqis and Afghans in the UK, and I think if you go with the correct people on a trip like that, and it's safe, then you can have a fantastic time. To be honest, and it's fascinating to observe the cultures.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess Iraq, Afghanistan. That's eventually where I would love to go in the Middle East.
Yeah. 100%.
Pakistan. Those three countries sound the scariest to me, which is why I want to go.
Do they?
I mean, just
there's a few that are kind of. I mean, I guess you can technically go to, but it's advised against, like Syria and Yemen, just due to the wars. It's kind of like, I think, off the top of my head, like maybe, I don't know. Like just due to the fact, safety reasons, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But the majority of countries in the region, like, you know, if you go with the correct people, then it should be good, to be honest.
I mean, I God willing, like I literally want to go to. I might attempt, inshallah, to go to like every single country in the world. I'm obsessed with traveling. I just there's like the best way. The two things I love doing are, well, I love working out. That has no effect on where you are in the world. Number one. So that's not really has to do with this. You can do that anywhere. Push-ups. But the things I love the most are learning and having fun. And it's like when I travel, you do like both of those. You know, like if I go to school, I learn, but it's not really fun. Then if I travel, I not only learn more, but I don't even feel like I'm learning, like in certain sense of like you just get to going to dinner. Like I actually got the chance to study abroad in Madrid. And that was the semester where I told myself, if I learn more during the semester, because I want to be an entrepreneur, if I learn more during this semester and I have more fun, I'm going to drop out. And that's exactly what happened. Because I got the chance to go to like Portugal. I got to go to the UK for like several days and some other countries. So yeah, I told myself I just want to like backpack across the whole world, especially if I could figure out how to like IRL stream and just go across the world. I mean, that would be like the dream. Just learning, sharing what I'm learning with the world, showing people that these places are not as scary, encouraging people to travel and like seeing the world. Because every time I go somewhere, like when I spent time in Southeast Asia, you know, now when I see someone when I just meet people from Asia, like, oh yeah, I'm from China. Oh, I'm like, oh, I just feel like I can relate to them more because I've just been to at least countries around China. I haven't been to China, and then when I meet people, it doesn't happen really often, from Vietnam, or when I just see an Asian person, I no longer think like, oh, they're so foreign to me. Like I'm like, I lived around, I guess when I say Asian, that's like a huge generalization, but nobody I know has ever been to Asia. So I just say Asian. But like now when I see Asian people, I'm like, like you're the same, you know? And same thing with like Muslims. Now that I've learned about Islam, I see a Muslim, I'm like, you're the same. Like, I just want to get to the point where anyone I see, I'm like, you're the same. Like we are the same. We're the human race. So God willing, I'll be able to go to like everywhere. I literally want to go everywhere, every country.
Yeah. It's fascinating stuff, to be honest. Definitely. I'll travel around, certainly look forward to it, to be honest, in the near future.
Yeah,
especially into experiencing the culture, predominantly in relating to Islam at the moment, but perhaps other cultures and religions in the future. We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Oh, look at this. This is in Baghdad. For some reason, I thought Baghdad was in Bangladesh.
That's a bit of a...
I think I just
a little bit incorrect there.
That's very incorrect. Baghdad, Bangladesh sound the same to me, right? No, it's good.
Yeah, well.
I mean, when nobody you know has been to these places, it's hard. It's like the only way you can. Gosh, like even then you got South America. This is a whole nother world over here. Central America.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I know because the UK is quite, especially in universities and in London and other major cities, it's quite multicultural, and you get people from literally, or maybe not from those countries, but like ethnically from, have a connection to the land, or they're, have other ties to those countries. Many of whom have, go back during the summer or the winter sometimes to the country for like a holiday or to visit family or something. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I speak to people all the time who go back to Pakistan for a month in the summer, or India, and those countries are absolutely huge. A lot of there's a place called Mirpur in Pakistan. Can't remember if it's Kashmir or somewhere else, but that's known as having a lot of British Pakistanis, or families of British Pakistanis. So yeah, I know a few people who are there currently, actually.
Wow. Hey guys, chat. What kind of questions you guys want us to? Who's got questions for me, Will, both of us? Drop them in the chat right now. Could even bring people up here if we wanted.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I might have to make a move in a minute, but
all right.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic chat nonetheless.
It's been. Elias, wrap it up. Gotta eat. Elias is one of my friends.
Oh, this is something else as well. So someone's mentioned tafsir in the comments, and it's a term I hear all the time, but I've just forgotten what it means. So if people could clarify in the comments, then we'll. Have I listened to the bird? I haven't actually. There's all this stuff that I need to associate myself with more. So,
what kind of collabs would you guys want to see with Wilf and I next?
Tafsir is exegesis of the Quran. Okay. So commentary, I presume. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, explanations. The Quran I have actually. It's
you have what?
So the Quran, it's obviously I don't want to say it's a different Quran, but the translations, the English translations, because obviously the Quran is unchanged since the revelation, but some of the English translations you get, some of it might be translated to Old English or Simple English. So the one I read, actually, it has a certain amount of tafsir in, which like a short explanation of when the surah was revealed, like how many years before or after the Hijrah, the migration from Mecca to Medina of the Prophet. They have a couple of other details, but nothing in depth. So yeah, it'll certainly be something to consider. The Quran I use, it's quite, I think it's by one of the famous English Islamic scholars, Marmaduke Pickfall, which you can tell from the name. Obviously from the early 1900s there, but he writes in more of like an Old English style, so it's kind of almost like feels like you're listening or reading Shakespeare the way it's presented. So a lot of people use the clear Quran. There's a few other different types which have more simple English in, so it's a bit more easy to kind of understand if you're not as familiar with, I guess. Oh, there we go. Not as familiar with like Shakespearean writings or ancient English or Old English. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
Over here.
She's got quite a lot there, flipping heck.
Someone said we should do a study. That'd be sick if we did a. Wait, real quick. We should do like a study. I do sessions where I just study on stream. I just study the Quran or study the Bible, so compare both, or study a topic. That'd be sick if we did that in the future one day. People seem to love us talking together. I mean, I like talking.
Yeah, potentially. Potentially.
Yeah, I want to ask you a question, not about religion. How you talk? Like you sound like a lawyer in the sense of like when you talk, it's professional. How did you learn that? How can you teach someone else to be like that?
To be honest with you, so I've had an interest in like. Obviously, like I say, I've had an interest. I said this earlier. I've had an interest in like history, politics, geography, religion, law, and these are kind of my core interests. And when you listen to knowledgeable people speak from these professions, you kind of pick up some of the ways they speak and some of the cadences of language and things of that nature. And over time, you start to incorporate it into your own vocabulary, and it can often be beneficial when you're talking in like a formal setting. And a lot of people, because I speak, someone said something in the comments, because the way I speak, a lot of people assume I'm from like some wealthy family or like an upper class background. It's actually not the case. Like it's just from like pure research and interest and listening to people speak. It's one of those things that you can learn to do over time.
Yeah, you speak very poised. Even the first time I called you on the phone or when you joined the stream, like if you do have any nerves, like you can't see them when you talk, like it's very calming, like a very calming spirit. It comes through in your voice. Mashallah.
Appreciate it. Well, hopefully we can transfer it into what profession I go into. Whether that's law or YouTuber or scholar.
Yeah. Do you want to? So you do have a YouTube channel. So I've been plugging your Instagram.
That's right. Yeah, that's right, but I've not really uploaded much on it besides like a few podcast clips and some compilations of my Instagram uploads, to be honest. So I need to get on there to discuss some more pressing matters, I guess.
Yeah. Well, let me plug this.
There you go.
There we go. Here he is, guys. Oh, so here's on a different podcast. Whoa, where was this?
That's in London. It was a Shia podcast.
Welcome back to After Maghrib. Wherever you are listening around the world, it's a pleasure to be on with you again. This week we have a fascinating discussion, whereas last week we talked about Muslims in the wider world. Today, nice. Yeah. Good.
Dang, that's legit. That's sick. All right, guys, here it is.
In June 1960.
And that's like some video I made ages ago on like some terrible mic. So it's just
a year ago. Whoa!
It's some random Alcatraz video I made that got a load of views.
Oh, so you've been making videos for a minute?
No, I just made like a couple Alcatraz videos. And
wait, that like blew up though.
Yeah, it was a bit random. Like I can't lie.
In June 19...
But it's not. I don't think it is. I don't think luck is real. I mean, there's a reason people like your content.
And the commentary is a bit monotone as well.
62.
Like,
well, 500,000 people were intrigued in it for a reason.
Reaching land, but no such thefts were reported in the immediate area.
Is sick, bro. What do you mean monotone? Your voice is dope. That was like one thing that intrigued me in that first Instagram video that I played like 30 times today. It's like, whoa, who is this guy? Like, he sounds so poised. Well, bro, do you need to go? You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm having for dinner, but hopefully something nice.
Guys. Wilf, well, inshallah, this won't be the last time I talk to you, especially on
100%.
So, brother, thank you for coming on.
It's been a pleasure
to connect. I'm devoted to becoming, the best version of myself in religion. God plays a big role in that, and it seems like you're on the same journey of you're not afraid to learn new things. So respect.
Yeah, Really appreciate it, mate. It's been interesting to talk to you as well, because I've seen like some of your videos in the past. Like I think it was when you did the reading Quran in one sitting. I saw your content back then, and I've watched some of it off and on since then. So it's been interesting to actually sit down and have a conversation, to be honest.
Facts. Brother, well, thank you for coming on, Will. The chat, if you have, I don't know how much you've been reading it, but everybody's saying that they love this conversation. Two guys coming together to learn something new. So, hey, this won't be the last time. Will, thank you for coming on. Enjoy dinner with your family, brother.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one. See you later.
Bye, Will.
See you.
Wow. What a nice guy. Chat, what a nice guy Timothy just got here. Guys, Will, thank you again for coming on. That was sick. That was sick. That was really, really cool. Wow. Where's Timothy's comment? I wanted to see it. His voice is like AI, no, bro. He speaks. I like the way he talks, and very genuine guy. Learning something new. He's not afraid. There's like no fear in his voice when he talks. You can sense it. Biggest W ever. Great conversation, guys. He does have good energy. Nice to know that both of you people like you exist, yeah. And it's nice to know that there's 400 people live right now who see value in this, because I ain't gonna lie, before doing these YouTube videos, I felt like I was one of the only people who really thought the way I did. You know, I've met people like Noah, Kurt, people who are so interested in philosophy and are down to literally sit and just talk for hours. Like when me and Kurt, Noah hang out, my friend Max, we don't talk about sports ever. We don't talk about the news. All we talk about is we talk about business. We talk about philosophies. We talk about like how to change the world. It's the only thing we talk about. And now I've realized I'm not the only one. We are not the only one. There's people on the internet like you guys who would rather listen to a conversation like this than, watch someone play Fortnite for like 30 hours. Like there's people who will actually just want to sit there and listen to a high level conversation to become a better version of themselves. Even if you not saying everybody agrees and disagrees on like the topics we're talking about, that people actually care about this though, more than like a video game. It's crazy. Like even Timothy, bro. His name is Timothy. He's in high school, and homie wants to learn. Genuine people are a rare breed, but at the same time, even if only 1% of people are honest, genuine, and looking to learn, which is much more than 1%, that's still millions of people. So we can connect. Praise God for the internet. We can still connect together. This is high level. Baker, this is high level. Baker, shut up. Baker, come down here and fight me. Okay, buddy? Oh, I almost just banned Will from the studio. That would have been highly awkward. W. Baker. So chatty chat. I'm definitely going to start up another stream. This ain't going to be the end of the stream today, chat. This ain't going to be the end. We're going to get into it. But what are we going to get into? I don't really know. I probably got a few more hours to stream. Harris, how you doing, brother? Mashallah, brother. My boy. Push up break. Push up break. My accent is changing. Yeah, I think I talk different when I talk to people because I realize I'm talking to someone. Yeehaw! You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And now I'm alone. Alone again. Just can't keep waiting, get on the road again. And I'm just a lonely boy sitting here. Got 400 people watching me on the screen. But I'm just sitting here. I'm just sitting here. And I need to travel. Need to travel the world, please. God. Please let me travel. Just want to backpack the world and do an IRL stream and just get someone to help me film and create the coolest IRL streams across the world and hit up Chad and become a Giga Chad. Oh my gosh. Going to Chad to become a Giga Chad. Gone wrong. That could be the next video. Becoming a Giga Chad in Chad live. Do a push-up in every country. Bro! This could be a video. Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the video. Today, I'm going to be doing a push-up in every single country. And I'm starting it off in Chad. Because we a Giga Chad. You know what I'm saying? On the road again. Bro, I'm thinking after this year, if I can just, get this YouTube still flowing, like get the YouTube kind of flowing and going, I'm thinking we go on a world tour and we go around to every single country. What do you guys think about that? IRL stream across the world. I would just have to figure out who could come with me and film me. I mean, you can't tell me that you guys would not be entertained. Get back. Let's see what you said. Grayson, if I could connect you with Sneeko for a pod at Godpill, would you do it? Godpill? Omar, yeah. If anyone filmed me, they would be getting paid for sure. But who would want to do that? Is anyone in here? Say less. Elias. Latif for sure. Get the whole team. Guys, I don't want to go with Latif. He's like trying to get with me, chat. He's a little sus. How can I really trust him? Oh, Arab grandma? Guys, me and Lama Nume world tour? Yo, what's up, y'all? Today I'm with an Arab grandma, Lama Nume, and we going around the world. My favorite part is when I see Lama Nume type W's in the chat. Arab grandma typing W's in the chat. She gonna make some naan bread? Okay, that'd be fire. It's the best profile picture. Come to South Africa. Cole, I would love to, brother. You look so nice. You look so nice. Whoa, there's a country in South Africa? Inside of South Africa? What the flip? Lesotho. What the frick is Lesotho? Just can't keep waiting to get on the road again. I knew the world was flat. He was right. What's going on in Antarctica? Why is nobody there? Wait, so Antarctica, why is it only on the bottom of the map? I don't understand a map. What about the top of the map? Where is Antarctica up here? It's a globe, apparently. So why don't we see? I'm trying to understand like how maps work. I mean, it's flattened to a piece of paper. Go do Dawa in Antarctica. Yo, I'm gonna build the first holy place on Mars. Mark my word. Mark my word. First holy place on Mars. First holy place on Mars. No cap. W. We'll die before you get there. We'll stay alive, inshallah. Okay. Yo, what's up, y'all? Today I'm on Mars, and I'm building the first holy place on Mars, and it's going pretty good. Yo, what's up, y'all? Today we're on Mars. Some of the members of the congregation just ran out of air, so they're no longer with us. But we're going to be building the first holy place. Okay, Latif's air, he's about at 10% oxygen left, so this might be the last stream you see with him. But so we might send him back to Earth. Wait, when Hafsa, when you say Sir Lama, what Lama? Sir, what does that mean? SR. I was at the first graduation from Zaytuna College ceremony. Zatura? Zaytuna College ceremony. Where's Zaytuna? Zaytuna? Go preach to the Martians? Nuna Lama? Oh, sister. Oh, SR sister. Ah. Oh, Berkeley, San Francisco. Hey, Lama Nume, what do you think about what's going on right now in San Francisco? Oh, Hafsa, that's the college you went to. Oh, y'all went to the same school. AJ, SF is clean. I live here, Rock. Oh, for real? Himothy just casually dropping his addy in the chat. Oh, she's attended the graduation. I went there. Lama, I really do not watch the news. W Arab grandma in the chat. Bro, grandmas are the best. Mothers and grandmas. I mean, grandmas are just grandmothers. Praise God for grandmas. Can we get an amen? You do not leave me any time to watch the news. W. All right. W's in the chat. And I'm going to end this stream and I'm about to start up a new one in a sec, okay? Be quiet, bro. Timothy, are you in school right now? Timothy, join in school. Join in school. Timothy, join it. I'll be right back. Guys, look. Timothy, you here? What did Timothy say? No, guys, he's not learning anything important there. Wait, where'd he go? Timothy, come back. Oh my gosh, Timothy's here. Timothy, you little bot, drop out of school right now. PhD, MD, OD, RD, that guy. Dude, this kid's so funny. Timothy. No, Timothy left. W handle. All right, guys. Grayson, some of my teachers are top Islamic scholars. Whoa. There's so many people to connect with right now. I'm a little overwhelmed right now, Hafsa. I mean, he's way more respectful than you. So, I mean, I guess I don't know who you're talking about, but either way, there's so many people to connect to right now online. It's like hundreds. So it's a little bit overwhelming. But inshallah, we'll see. I want to talk to everyone. Okay, I'm going to start up another stream in just a bit, chat. All right, see you guys in a bit. My name is Grayson Brock. I'm 22 years old. If you want to send me a message of encouragement, a message of something you want to tell me, you can purchase a coffee for me below, and that helps support this channel. This channel represents freedom of speech, freely sharing ideas. If it wasn't for freedom of speech, I wouldn't be able to say the things I'm saying right now. So praise God for the country I'm in, for me being able to share this message of things I've learned, sharing the message of don't be fat. And yeah. See you guys in just a bit. Amen. Ali, have you ever been fat? I've definitely been a little bit chubbier, to the point where my friend were like, dang, you're kind of looking chubby. And the first time someone told me I was like chubby, I was like, damn, you're kind of right though. You know what I'm saying? All right, see you guys in a bit.